It's 6 o'clock. I'm Simon Oxley. The headlines: concerns for elderly residents in Bedford flats, Addenbrooke's hospital in special measures, and man seriously injured at Luton Hotel.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
Elderly residents in Bedford say they no longer feel safe in their block of flats, which was originally set up solely for retired people. Chandos Court, which is managed by Bedford Pilgrims Housing Association, will now be used to provide social housing for people of all ages, including families. The association say they take antisocial behaviour very seriously and would encourage those with concerns to contact them directly. But resident Elaine Clark says that's not the case.
Just recently I feel as though they've let us down. How do people get into our block when they don't live here? And all they say that if we've got nuisance neighbours, keep writing it down in a logbook and then let the police know about it.
The trust, which runs Addenbrooke's hospital in Cambridge, has been put into special measures after inspectors rated it inadequate. The hospital also takes patients from Bedfordshire and Hertfordshire, and a report by the Care Quality Commission identified staff shortages, delays in appointments and risks to patient safety. More from Sophie Hutchinson.
Addenbrooke's is a hospital with a global reputation for excellence, one of the UK's major trauma centres with expertise in areas such as transplants, cancer and allergy. But now it's joined the ranks of failing hospitals. Inspectors found staff shortages meant wards were struggling to cope. There were serious problems with delays in discharging patients, and one eye patient had to wait 51 weeks for treatment. The CQC also criticised the hospital's leadership for failing to respond to issues raised by frontline staff.
A man has been arrested after an incident at a hotel near Luton Airport on Sunday evening in which a man was left with serious head injuries. Police were called to the Hampton Hilton shortly after 9 p.m. The injured man in his 40s was airlifted to hospital in a critical condition. A 21-year-old man from Latvia was arrested at the scene. Police say a taxi driver who crashed into a guide dog in Stony Stratford has been given a verbal warning but won't be prosecuted. Mike Gurney's dog was hit on August bank holiday weekend whilst he was out shopping. Milton Keynes Council, who issue taxi licences, say they're investigating what happened. Campaigners are calling on every Hertfordshire County councillor to get a chance to vote on plans to build a rail freight depot on the former Radlett airfield site. The council has to decide whether to sell some access land to Helios Slough, the company behind the depot. At the moment, the final decision is down to a council cabinet, but Cathy Balshaw from the Strife campaign group says this is their last chance to stop the scheme.
The only other possibility would be if the county council did decide to sell the land for their reasons to the developer Helios Slough. The only other thing then that would possibly stop it would be the actual engineering side.
In sport, Chelsea striker Diego Costa has been charged with violent conduct by the Football Association after Saturday's controversial win over Arsenal. The weather, a mixture of sunshine and some heavy showers, a maximum temperature 16 degrees Celsius. And you can get the latest news and sport online at bbc.co.uk/3 counties.
Morning, guys. Iain Lee, BBC Three Counties Radio. Well, I think it's kicked in, guys. I think it's kicked in. And by it, I mean either the LSD I purchased in 1993 from a bloke called Dave. He wasn't called Dave, actually. I've changed his name to protect the bloke it really was. Bloke called Steve. Or old age. I can't find anything. I've lost my coat. By the way, Kelly, great to have you back.
Thanks, player.
I've lost my coat. I can't find me Spanky Wilson.
What?
I've lost Miss Spanky.
I'll find it.
Where's Miss Spanky? Oh, Jen in Houghton Regis, God bless you for listening, even though you hate it. The people who love me listen for 20 minutes. The people who hate me listen for the whole 3 hours. Jen says, no, Iain, I won't send Thordis a text just because you can't wait to start. And it's not that I can't wait. If I don't start on time, I'm breaking the rules. I'd rather we have the extra half hour here and not just in Norfolk. Here's an extra half hour, Jen. Where do you want it? Where do you want it, Jen? Where do you want this? Anywhere? And I lost something else. I had a jar of coffee that I took home with me. The coffee we couldn't find yesterday. I took it home with me.
Did you?
I've got no idea where it is.
Did you drink it?
I didn't drink it.
Is it in your coat pocket?
Hang on.
I noticed this as well, Barry from Luton, the parcel lorry driver. The wood recycling site at Hemel is letting up stink.
Oh dear.
They are starting to burn the rotten recycling. I smelt that. Well, hang on. If I smelt it, I dealt it. That's awful. And I did the rhyme, so I must have done the crime.
Across beds,
Did you
hearts
deny
and
it?
bucks.
This is
No.
BBC
Well, then you didn't
Three
supply
Counties
it.
Thank you
Radio.
very much indeed. Let's play a song for Jen, shall we?
Yeah.
Oh, hang on a minute. Hang on. Let's play a song for Jen, shall we? Yeah. There we go.
Every man has his techniques, and they're all different.
They said you're not normal, why don't you sing R&B? I said I got no rhythm and I got no blues, I'm as happy as can be. They said how can you not bop to hip-hop? I said I most certainly do. Did you not see me dancing the other night like the girls on Channel U? Yeah, I can wind down low, be like the girls in the videos, but for me that's much too slow because I prefer rock and roll. I say yeah, I can wind down low, dance like the girls in the videos, but for me that's a no-no because I prefer rock and roll, They say why'd you wear a shirt and tie? Now that's a bit bizarre. I said I like to look good when I go on stage, strumming my guitar. I like to sing my songs about real life things like good times and romance, and I prefer to do it in my skinny jeans and minuscule hot pants.
Every man has his techniques,
Cause this baby got no back.
and they're all different.
Yeah, I can wind down low, be like the girls in the videos, but for me that's much too slow because I prefer rock and roll. I say yeah, I can wind down low, dance like the girls in the videos, but for me that's a no-no because I prefer rock and roll, rock and roll, Why can't people just let me be? I'm only putting out what comes best to me. Some people get their kicks with other things, but I get mine with wood and string. Yeah, I can wind down low, be like the girls in the videos, but for me that's much too slow because I prefer rock and roll. I say yeah, I can wind down low, dance like the girls in the videos, but for me that's a no-no because I prefer rock and roll. Yeah, I can wind down low, be like the girls in the videos, but for me that's much too slow because I prefer rock and roll. I say yeah, I can wind down low, dance like the girls in the videos, but for me that's a no-no because I prefer rock and roll, rock and roll.
Oh dear.
I just don't know what's going on.
Well, I know that noise said it all.
don't know what to do with myself. I just don't know what to do with myself. And that was before Xbox. That song was written. So what would
Yeah.
you do? Now Xbox is,
Well, according to a programme I watched...
never be bored again with the Xbox.
According to a programme I watched last night called It Was All Right in the 60s,
Well,
by the way, it wasn't.
no.
People used to stand and look down holes. They used to stand on the dockside and watch the ships going
They
in
used
and
to
out.
stand. Hang on a second.
Yeah.
Go back one. They used to stand and look down holes. What does that mean?
There was a load of people. It was a programme called Looking at Nothing, right?
You're making this
I'm
up.
not. You've got to watch it. It's hilarious
You've
and
been,
wrong.
what do they call it? Spoofed? Punked?
No,
Don't
it's
put those
true.
two words together.
There was... Oh, she
No,
got it.
Yeah,
Um,
didn't she? Just.
There was a programme called Looking at Nothing, right? And it was all this thing about, if you're out and about, look out for a worker down a hill. And they did, and they all kind of stood round it and looked while the man worked on his hole. Entertainment 1960s style.
I'm thinking of, let's get Remy Nicole on. I like that. So it's Remy Nicole. I'm going to get her on. And I think that's going to become the theme tune to my life. Other top acts coming soon? Who have we got coming on
Echo
soon?
Belly.
Echo Belly.
Jen in Houghton Reed is going to love that.
She's also going to love the Bare Naked Ladies when they come on. Kiss My Chuddies!
Is that a band?
No, that's the cast of, what are they called? The hit Asian television comedy series.
Goodness gracious
Goodness
me.
gracious. Coming up next, it's the Asian comedy television series. Goodness gracious me. They're not coming on the show.
No. They're busy.
And there was someone else that's coming. There's someone else. I don't know.
There's something.
There's something to come.
They're none of your businesses.
The keep your beak out of it.
Yeah, that's good.
We'll do this, shall we? A group of elderly neighbours say they no longer feel safe in their Bedford flats because now anybody can move in. Chandos Court was once a sheltered housing complex. Then it was opened up to over 45s. Not long for me. And now the age restriction's gone altogether. Bedford Pilgrims Housing Association says there's not enough demand from older people to fill it. Catherine Boyle is of an age. What are the elderly residents complaining about?
Well, there are about 100 flats in Chandos Court, and we've spoken to some of the pensioners who live there a few times over the years. I think the first time I was still reading the news.
Yeah.
Golden days.
The classic days.
The first time was in December 2012 when the Housing Association took the first step towards this by getting rid of the facility's wardens. Do you remember?
Yeah.
It was officially stripped of its sheltered accommodation status in 2013, and then after years of housing over 65 only, started accepting over 50s, the young ones. Then last year, the flats were opened up to over 45. But now, Ian, the age restriction is being removed altogether. Good news for you. Allowing anybody eligible for social housing.
Good news for anybody apart from the elderly residents, Catherine. Let's not make light of this. It's a very serious story.
Absolutely. So it allows anyone eligible for social housing to move in, and it's not been well received by current residents. Now, some of them say that they've been confronted by people fighting in the blocks, sleeping, smoking, and even going to the toilet. One of those is not one of those who's been confronted, rather than one of those who's been doing it. Is 72-year-old Basil Walker.
When we came here on the pretence that this was going to be warden controlled, we were going to be looked after, we had pull cords, we had this, we had that and the other. It was all part of the original contract. We had people outside our door. One man was laying on the floor and 3 men were kicking him and saying they were going to kill him. Then we called the police, eventually they came. We've had other people down on the stairwell sleeping, smoking, drinking, urinating.
What other concerns do they have?
Well,
as if that wasn't bad enough.
About consultation, really. They claim that none of them opted to remove that age restriction, and yet Bedfordshire Pilgrims are determined to bring it in as of this month. They also have concerns about the vetting procedure for any of the new younger residents. And in fact, Tony Fisher went along there, as if their problems weren't bad enough. And on leaving that block of flats, Tony Fisher came across young men drinking strong lager, as he described, in the lobby area. And they said they were helping someone to move in. Elaine Clark told Tony the Housing Association doesn't seem that bothered.
Just recently, I feel as though they've let us down. How do people get into our block when they don't live here and all that? And all they say that if we've got nuisance neighbours, keep writing it down in a logbook and then let the police know about it. But you've got to keep on writing in it down, etc. and all that. So I don't know.
So they're not really bothered?
Not really, no.
The Housing Association say they've installed security doors in Chandos Court and they take antisocial behaviour very seriously and would encourage those with concerns to contact them directly.
What else do they say, the Housing Association?
Well, when we first spoke to residents, they told us that there was no point talking to them because, in their words, Bedfordshire Pilgrims Housing Association never do anything. Sure enough, they don't want to talk to us. Instead, after much pressing, they sent us 2 statements. They say when the age restriction was first lowered, the residents in the scheme were consulted about the change. This year, when they proposed to remove the age restriction completely, the same residents were consulted and no objections were raised. Something the residents refuse to believe is true. Residents have been offered alternative accommodation in an identical sheltered housing scheme in the same area as Chandos Court, and they say this offer still stands and they'd be happy to help residents move into the scheme if they feel this accommodation would be more suitable for them.
OK. Jen says, you flatter yourself, Ian. I only give you 5 minutes until you start insulting people, then I turn over to Vanessa.
So she won't be hearing this now.
She's still listening. 03459 455 555. There's a picture of what's the lady? Posh Spice. She used to be my favourite. She's been my favourite in the one in the desert where they're all in PVC. Yeah. She was my favourite. If I had to pick one now that would be my favourite, it would probably. It depends on what terms we're talking favourite. Sexually, Jerry. Personality-wise, baby. I like baby. I was in a restaurant with her. Different tables, never spoke.
This is like Justin's story about dining with Cliff Richard.
We were in the same restaurant. It was a tiny restaurant.
Oh.
It was a tiny restaurant in Crouch End, in North London.
In my student years, I was asked to join a Spice Girls cover band.
Wow.
Called Nice and Spicy.
Oh, man alive. What are you doing tonight? Oh, nothing. Oh, you should come down to the uni. Nice and spicy you're playing.
Travel news for beds, cards and bugs.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
On the M1 in both directions, there are still the roadworks going on with the lane closed between junction 12 for Flitwick and 11 for Dunstable in both directions, so it's better to cause some delays later, but it's looking quiet at the moment. On the A40 London Road in Loudwater, there's roadworks at the junction for Derham's Lane, so that could cause some delays too. And the A40 in High Wycombe has roadworks between Bradenham Road and Chorley Road. Looking at the trained birch boards, there are no delays showing up at the moment. Samantha Brough, BBC Three Counties Radio.
Harmonising with the news bed really can be a lot of fun. 6:15, it's Tuesday the 22nd of September. I'm Iain Lee. These are your headlines on BBC Three Counties Radio. Elderly residents in Bedford say they no longer feel safe in their block of flats, which was originally set up solely for retired people. The trust, which runs Addenbrooke's Hospital in Cambridge, has been put into special measures after inspectors rated it inadequate. And police say a taxi driver who crashed into a guide dog in Milton Keynes has been given a verbal warning but won't be prosecuted. What do you think about that, Nick?
Nick Coffer on BBC Three Counties Radio.
On Friday, I was joined by one of the nation's favourites.
I hope people get a lot of fun from stories and readings, and I've got some wonderful archive material that I've unearthed.
Michael Palin discussed his diaries.
I enjoy talking about my work. It's part of what you have to do anyway, but I mean, I don't think I'd have published diaries if I didn't want somebody to read them and talk about them.
His career.
The idea of preparing for Monty Python made me aware that I enjoy being on stage, enjoy being in front of a live audience.
And his life.
Other times you will just have to persuade someone that they should pay for the work you want to do.
If you missed it, go online to bbc.co.uk/Three Counties Radio, where you can catch up on all our programmes.
I'll soon be with you, my love.
I think that is a ridiculous idea.
Clip that.
Doorbells.
So boobs is not news.
That's old news.
That's old news. That's old news. That's old news. That's old news. That's old news. Everybody?
That's
old news. Justin, you want to have a quick go with us?
Yes, please. Yes,
Here-
please.
Here we go.
That's old news.
Great times.
I love
Classic.
that guy.
Love that guy. Classic Bants. I'm digging the vibe. I'm just a little bit tangled up in my headphones, but that's groovy. You've not seen my green jacket, have you, Just?
No, I haven't, boss. No,
Lost
are you
it.
accusing me of stealing it? Or?
No. I did accuse Kelly Betts of stealing it last night when I sent her a text saying,
Apology accepted.
Thank you, I do.
See, Kelly could probably use that as some sort of tent, couldn't she?
Are you saying Ian's fat?
Or that she's like like an ant.
What are you saying, dog?
Who are you belittling or belaging?
It's just classic Bants, guys. Yeah, classic Bants.
It's Bants. I don't know if it'll go under if I file it under classic. I don't know if I file it under C for classic. C for something, but probably not C for classic. Now, yesterday, Justin, this story's incredible. We spoke to Mike Gurney from Milton Keynes. He told us he's being sued by the taxi driver. I'm laughing because it's so outrageous. He's a blind guy, right? He's got a guide dog. The taxi driver hit the guide dog by doing a really bad three-point turn and going up on the curb. So the taxi driver is suing Mike. Yeah, nice, isn't it? The local councillors told us it's investigating the incident, which happened a fortnight ago in Stony Stratford. Justin, you got the details. An incredible story.
Yeah. I mean, to be fair, boss, I actually had to go back onto the tape and listen again because I thought I was hearing things yesterday. It was like a weird dream. So Mike explained to us that this happened just before midday on the 29th of August when the taxi driver hit his dog Emma on Stony Stratford High Street. Now, the taxi driver was doing a three-point turn when he backed onto the pavement. Got some audio coming up here. Mike said that he didn't know whether the car had stopped or not. So what he did, he hit the boot to make sure the driver knew not to come back any further.
When my dog was suddenly thrown into my leg, I bent down and put my hand over her side because she'd gone slightly backwards, and that's very rare.
Yeah.
And up against her body was the back of what I later found out was a minicab.
Oh.
So I gave it 2 good whacks and shouted...
The minicab you gave the wax to?
Yes.
Yeah.
I had no way of knowing if it was still coming back.
So what's the driver doing now?
Well, the police told me he was going to claim for damage to his boot. I dented it when I hit it.
I'm laughing because it's so ridiculous. What an absolute scumbag this bloke is. Not Mike, obviously. He seems like a nice
I think what we need
chap.
to do, boss, is get hold of a walking stick and hit it against a vehicle to see whether we can actually dent it, because I would doubt that very much.
Oh, hell hath no fury like a guide dog owner scorned. I think that's the saying. The police, what the police said?
Well, they said they've spoken to everybody involved and the driver was given a verbal warning and advice. Following an investigation, they say that no action will be taken against the driver, but the dog owner can now make a formal complaint if he's unhappy with the outcome. Now, according to Mike, when he spoke to you yesterday, the police said to him on the phone that the driver was executing a lawful manoeuvre. Mike responded by saying, well, since when has it been legal to mount the curb and hit a dog? To that, he got no response.
If you're doing a three-point turn, you don't go up on the curb.
That's how I failed my driving test the first time. So there you go. As for the Guide Dogs for the Blind Association, they say they're working with Mike and Emma to support their full recovery. As for Milton Keynes Council, well, they issue the taxi licences, of course, and they say they're also investigating what exactly happened on the 29th of August.
I was kind of hoping that we had I was led to believe by a member of the team here that we had a statement from the cab company, but I don't see one in the running order.
No, perhaps
Catherine,
they just refused to comment. I'll make further inquiries.
I'm
sure they got a phone call.
Yes, I'm sure they would have done because I'm sure they would have done. It would be good to hear what the cab have to say. If they, if the member of our team, maybe it fell through the net. Let's put a call into the cab company this morning and see if they what they want to say. Catherine, let's find out. Let's investigate. Dealey.
Yes, boss.
I got two corkers for you today.
Excellent.
One really annoys me. The other one is a legal minefield.
Okay.
Right now, you've got to honestly, you've got to tiptoe through the lawsuits for the second one.
I don't often do that, but
No,
I'll try.
I'll tell you this. I'll tell you the second one a bit. I'll tell you the second one after 7. Okay, it's a good one. Okay, but you promised me you'll be careful.
Yeah, I promise. I promise.
Good. The first one has got me furious. Right, it's in a few of the papers. Page 24 of the Mail. You've seen this, haven't you, Kath? So beautiful picture. We're more used to seeing them on red carpets and at glitzy parties, but David and Victoria Beckham were spotted in rather more down-to-earth setting this weekend at a corner shop in a Cotswolds village. Locals in Jimmy Nailsworth, Gloucestershire, were stunned to see the former England footballer and his skinny bird wife pull up to buy ice creams for their kids, not for her. And the pair were happy to pose for photographs. And there's a beautiful picture of 3 young girls, Erin Cornell, Maisie Godfrey and Ulma Seeks, all 11, OK?
Lovely.
And Miss Beckham is there, having the picture. The thing that's got me annoyed about this picture, right?
What could possibly annoy you about a picture like that?
They're in a Bunce's, a happy shopper, and this, I don't know what it is. We don't know the name.
In the Cotswolds?
In the Cotswolds. And the girls are going, oh, come here, the picture, give me the picture. Yeah, right, give me a picture. She's not taken her sunglasses off. She's got big, old-fashioned... You know Elizabeth Taylor used to wear sunglasses that made her look like the Fly with Jeff Goldblum?
Hey, careful,
She
I
looked
wear
good.
those.
Sorry. She's what?
She looked good.
She should have taken her sunglasses off.
No.
It's rude.
Something that I think... She's indoors. I always take my sunglasses off when I go indoors.
Thing is, right, I get the pop star thing. I get one of my favourite films, even though I hate the man, is I think it's called Don't Look Back, a documentary about Bob Dylan in 1964. It's a masterpiece. And he's doing a press conference in London with his sunnies on, and they're saying, why are you wearing your sunnies? Yeah, I want to wear my sunnies. And I get the kind of pop star attitude, but not when you got 3 11-year-old girls. Where's the girl power there?
Do you know what
she should have been? They should have overpowered her and ripped him off her face.
She was doing the right thing. What? She had the photograph taken, okay, and that's her style. She's always known for wearing big sunglasses. It's like saying, Ronald McDonald, I tell you what, boss, take your makeup off. Can we have a selfie? Joseph and the amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat. I tell you what, can you take off your coat for us and we have a selfie?
Let me tell
it's
you
part of her look. It's part of her image.
One thing. When was the last time you saw Ronald McDonald?
The
you know
last
why?
time I saw him...
You know why?
Let
he
me
doesn't wear his
finish.
makeup indoors.
No, he does, because I went to a birthday party once. It was my 5th birthday party. Ronald was there in his makeup.
That's
Take
old
that back.
news. That's old
That's
news.
old news. No, this would disgust me. Listen,
What?
if she's having her picture taken
Take your
with
sunglasses
another
off.
pop star,
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of a current pop star, I don't know, Glenn Medeiros or something, then yeah, fine, they're having the pop off.
You see,
But, these are 3 little girls.
No, it's people like you. It's people like you, okay, in the public eye,
Yeah.
who go on radio,
Yeah.
who go on TV, knocking Victoria Beckham. Maybe she's wearing them because she's a little bit low in confidence, because people like you
What?
are always sticking the boot in.
Confidence about her eyes.
Yes.
Iain, would you take off your ordinary guy hat if you were having a picture of 3 young boys?
Always take my picture off with my hat. Hang on. I always disrobe to a legal minimum when I'm having my picture taken. Always. You take your hat off. I've got my bag on. I take my hat off. I take my hat off to you. I take my bag off, and if I still had it, I would take my green jacket off.
So that picture of us with Colin the other week, where you're wearing your hat, yeah? Is that something which I
We
imagine?
were all wearing hats in a charity shop. We picked up ridiculous-looking hats.
Objection overruled.
Still wearing
Is that
a
the
hat?
good or the bad one? So I can never remember if
on your behalf, good.
I can never remember if the Republicans or the Democrats are the good guys. It always confuses me. Dealey, take it to the streets. This is a little hors d'oeuvre until we get to the legal minefield after 7.
Looking forward to it
You're going to
already.
have to tread carefully. Thank you, boss.
Travel news for beds, cards, and bugs.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
Building up on the M25 anti-clockwise between junction 25 for Enfield and 24 for Potters Bar, and also the North Orbital Road's busy at the M25 junction 21A roundabout, and in Easton on the North Circular Road it's slow from the M1 at the Staples Corner flyover towards Wembley. In Welwyn Garden City there's roadworks on Hertford Road, so there's a lane closed between the A1M and Hertford Road which could cause some delays later on, and in Houghton Road in Chilton has roadworks going on between the High Street North and Mill Road which could also cause some queues. There's no reported problems problems at the moment on the trains though. Samantha Bruff, BBC Three Counties Radio.
Across beds, hearts and bugs.
This is BBC Three Counties Radio.
It's 6:30. I'm Simon Oxley. Elderly residents in Bedford say they no longer feel safe in their block of flats, which was originally set up solely for retired people. Chandos Court, which is managed by Bedford Pilgrims Housing Association, will now be used to provide social housing for people of all ages, including families. The trust, which runs Addenbrooke's Hospital in Cambridge, has been put into special measures after inspectors rated it inadequate. The hospital also takes patients from Bedfordshire and Hertfordshire. A man has been arrested after an incident at a hotel near Luton Airport on Sunday evening in which a man was left with serious head injuries, and police say a taxi driver who crashed into a guide dog in Stony Stratford has been given a verbal warning but won't be prosecuted.
Three Counties Sport.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
Chelsea must decide whether to appeal against Diego Costa's violent conduct charge after the FA began disciplinary proceedings following Saturday's controversial win over Arsenal. Chelsea have until 6 o'clock this evening to respond. More from Iain Dennis.
The incident involving Lauren Koscielny in the 43rd minute sparked the events that eventually led to the dismissal of Gabriel. A three-man panel of former referees will now judge whether Costa is guilty of violent conduct for putting his hands into the face of the Arsenal defender. Meanwhile, Gabriel has been charged with improper conduct for his behaviour following his dismissal, while Santi Cazorla, who was also sent off, has been warned about his behaviour. Both clubs have been charged for failing to control their players.
Former Stevenage manager Graham Westley says he's thrilled to be back in football after being named as the new manager at League One side Peterborough. Westley left Stevenage in May after his third spell in charge. Tonight, the third round of the League Cup gets underway with matches including Sunderland against Manchester City and Aston Villa at home to Birmingham. In the National League tonight, Boreham Wood are away to Torquay, and England's women won 8-0 in Estonia in their opening qualifying match for Euro 2017. BBC Three Counties News and Sport. The next full bulletin at 7.
Here it comes. It's got a slow reflex there.
Working up a fever in a one-horse town was a jockey by the name of Joe. He didn't have a lot of what you might call luck, but he had a lot of get up and go. Get up and go, get up and go, get up and go back home.
the Beatles and Get Up and Go. Oh, there we go. Thank you, guys.
It's good, that, wasn't it?
03459 455 555. The big thing about David Cameron is, do we prefer him hair slick back or hair brush forward? I just don't know. The legal minefield that I want Justin to tread delicately through is, okay, forget the pig. Because the pig
How can we forget the pig?
The pig story comes from one unnamed source,
Mm-hmm.
okay? So, fair play, it could be complete and utter a bullshine.
And Cameron's not even dignifying it with a response.
No, okay. Forget the allegations that maybe cocaine was in his house at a party.
It was a massive house.
Yeah.
How can he know what's going on?
He knows loads of toffs. I've been with toffs. Toffs love cocaine. Toffs love cocaine. As do street people. Lots of people love cocaine, but toffs
It's very Moorish as well,
It
isn't it?
really is like a lovely, delicious cake that your nan made, so I'm told. But toffs have got loads of money, and toffs can afford cocaine. And was it in his house? I don't know. It's possible.
Probably.
Here's the one I want Justin to tread delicately around. If we assume, and if we assume, well, Steely Dan, was it Steely Dan he used to listen to? That's what he used to get stoned and listen to Steely Dan? That's the accusation.
I don't know.
The accusation is he was in a club that used to smoke a little bit of weed.
Mm.
All right, let's...
And that.
Let's assume David Cameron smoked a little bit of weed. Good on him. Good on him, I say. I'm not encouraging anyone to use drugs. I will never encourage anyone to use drugs. But... I certainly don't think any less of him if he's had a cheeky little bifter every now and then.
He wouldn't be the first student in the 90s to have indulged in a bit of that, would he?
Guys, I was a student, and let's just say 2 doors down, you could smell the weed in my room, and even though I was in the room that the weed was being smoked, I could smell it in my room. That's how high I was. No, hang on a minute. But you go to university, everyone's smoking weed. I'm not condoning it. I'm not saying, everyone should do it. I'm just saying that this is what happened. And if David Cameron had a little cheeky little puff every now and then, I'm trying to think, do I have more respect for him? No, not more respect for him.
Doesn't change what you think about him at all.
I'm trying to think if I do have a little bit more respect for him, but if I do, it won't be because he's taken drugs.
It will be because he's been honest.
Well, he's not been honest. He's not said it.
Yeah, but if he were to... confirm or
He's
deny.
He's not one of those Tories that we are going to throw everybody in. Do you know what this theme tune is?
Yeah.
What is it? Well, you said yeah, and then you didn't answer it. Did you hear that, Kel? She said yeah, and then she didn't answer.
I do know this song.
Well, what is it then? Answer it. Answer the
Is it
question.
like Highway to Heaven or something?
Yes, it's not like Highway to Heaven. It's Highway to Heaven. One of the
I was
weirdest.
thinking about Little House on the Prairie because it was the same fella, wasn't it?
One of the weirdest television programmes. He was an angel.
I used to love that programme.
Very, very Christian. I mean, it was literally Christian. He would come down.
It was like Quantum Leap, but with God rather than science.
It was God rather. It was the Christian version. It was the creationist version of Quantum Leap.
Mm-hmm.
Very, very weird programme.
Sad though, wasn't it? This music was sad.
I never used to watch it. It was about
always had
flipping
to go.
angel. It was a Christian programme about an angel. Why would I watch that? I was too busy watching down, better down, better than out, better down, better down, better than out, better down, better down, better than out.
Oh, right. Bonanza.
I was too busy watching.
My granddad used to love Bonanza.
What?
The Westerns were massive,
Who
weren't
fancies
they?
a bonanza?
Bonanza.
Who said to your nan?
And the High Chaparral.
Oh.
They were massive Westerns, weren't they, back in the day?
Yeah, and rubbish. Never liked Westerns. Never liked Westerns. So David Cameron, I guess the question is, do you think more, less, or the same of him?
So, like your eye test, is it better, worse, or just the same?
It's like when...
Yesterday.
Hello? Oh, it's like when one of the Bushes has come out and said, yeah, I used to smoke weed. Well,
One of the Bushes.
Well, I mean, George the second Bush, he was I can think we can say this.
Yeah,
he was a coke addict, wasn't
yeah,
he?
it's well documented that he had trouble with that.
He was a cocaine addict and alcoholic.
Yeah.
And I don't think any less of him for that. I mean, I don't like
think
him
any
anyway.
more of him.
No, I think actually, I do think more of him. Fair play. If he really was a cocaine addict and an alcoholic, what an inspiration that he turned his life around and became one of the worst presidents this world's ever seen.
But president nonetheless.
But he became the president of the United States of America. What an amazing example to set to people. What an amazing example. You, not you.
I mean, the cleaning up thing, yes, amazing example. Maybe not the
starting the illegal wars. Let's not go there, guys. David Cameron, he's had a cheeky spliff or two, possibly. Do you think more or less of him? 03459 455 555. Kelly, if we get any texts, let's call them back. Let's make that standard procedure. SP, standard procedure. Well, and we'll send Justin out on that after 7. What you got in the Paps?
This old fella, How to Survive 50 Years as a Henpecked Husband. I would suggest if he was henpecked, he wouldn't be allowed to write a book, but there you go, right?
There we go.
This is a fella called Anthony Blackie. He's braved the wrath of his wife,
He's called
Vicky.
what? I don't think you can call him that anymore.
He's called that. Deal with it.
Blimey, okay.
He's braved the wrath of wife Vicky and
Roth.
plenty of other women. Wrath, I'd say.
Yeah, I know, but we're not American. It's pronounced Roth. It's Star Trek 2, The Wrath of Khan.
The Wrath of Khan.
No, mate. Carry on.
I mean, you hurt my feelings now. I'm just trying to read you the story.
If you don't finish the story, I'm going to play Stephen Stills.
Right, anyway, he's self-published a book. Oh, right, okay, it's one of those. The Squashed Man Who Married a Dragon.
Listen, guys, if you've self-published
Don't
a book,
count.
it ain't a book.
Okay.
You might as well just write it in your diary.
Here's Anthony's guide for harmony at home.
flip
1.
it.
Learn which part of the sink is the wrong side to put your used coffee mug.
Oh, jeez.
2. Let her throw out items of your clothing, no matter how precious they are. 3. This is actually an abused man. If this is true, it's not hilarious. Imagine if it was a woman writing this.
This guy just this is what he needs to do. He needs to change partners by Crosby, Stills and Nash. Doesn't really work.
Is that what it's called?
All of the ladies attending the ball are requested to gaze in the faces found on your dance card. Please then remember and don't get too close to one special one. He will take your defenses and rock hard. So we change partner. Time to change partner. You must change partner again. This is how most of our ladies grew up at the country club dances. They learned how to handle the boys. Gently but firmly they learned to say no. There were 4 more young men who were waiting in the color and the noise. So we change partner. Time to change partner. You must change partner again. All of the ladies attending the bar are requested to gaze in the faces found on your dance card. Please then remember and follow your list, 'cause the dear things get hurt and the broken hearts make you feel hard. So we change partner. Time to change partner. You must change partner again.
Travel news for beds, cards, and bugs.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
In Bedford, there's been an accident on the Bedford Southern Bypass between the westbound between Cardington Road and the A6 at Elstow, so that's been closed westbound at the moment. Carl and Darren called to say. On Hollycross Road in Ware, there's been an accident there between Woodbury Hill and Capel Lane, and on the M25 it's busy anti-clockwise between junction 21 for the M1 and 19 for Watford. Also the North Orbital Road in Bricketwood is busy around the M25 junction 21A roundabout. Samantha Bruff, BBC Three Counties Radio.
Thank you, Sammy. It's 6:45. It's Tuesday, the 22nd of September. I'm Iain Lee. These are your headlines on BBC Three Counties Radio. Elderly residents in Bedford say they no longer feel safe in their block of flats, which was originally set up solely for retired people. The trust, which runs Adam Brooks Hospital in Cambridge, has been put into special measures after inspectors rated it inadequate. And police say a taxi driver who crashed into a guide dog in Milton Keynes has been given a verbal warning but won't be prosecuted. Let's get the weather.
Beds, Hearts and Bucks weather.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
Good morning. It is quite a wet start again this morning. We have a fair amount of rain around throughout. We've got heavy showers working their way across all three counties. Possibility a bit of thunder mixed in there as well, but it really is quite miserable. Now these showers are going to turn a little more isolated, or become a little more isolated later on this afternoon, breaking up, so fewer further between. We could see some brightness between them, but a shower is never very far away. And a northwesterly breeze today means it's not going to feel particularly warm either. We're looking at a maximum of 16 Celsius. So overnight tonight, gradually the cloud will disappear. We'll get some clear spells, temperatures down to 9 Celsius, and we could see a bit of mist and fog develop as well. For tomorrow, quite chilly, but a bright start, some sunshine around, but gradually getting cloudier as our next weather front moves in. Patchy rain perhaps tomorrow evening, maximum temperature 16 Celsius, and that's your forecast.
If you've missed any of the programmes here on BBC Three Counties Radio, you've missed things like this.
What have you got for us, Liz? Can you beat leaving his scooter behind?
Yes. I've left my knickers behind.
But there is a way you can hear it all again.
And he had been replaced with a baby grey budgie.
What?
Yes, he's been replaced.
bbc.co.uk/Three Counties Radio.
Yes, the idea of preparing for Monty Python made me aware that I enjoy being on stage, enjoy being in front of a live audience.
Allowing you to listen to what you missed.
Would you sue your neighbour, your friends, if your child got hurt on one of their trampolines?
bbc.co.uk/Three Counties Radio.
Bring it. No, hang on. Whoa, wait. No, hang on.
What are you doing?
I don't know what. Hang on a minute. Oh,
We're not getting jiggy, are we?
Bring it. I'm trying to play the Who. Bring it. No.
Is this not them?
Bring it. No. Hang on. Right, that should do it. Bring it. No. Why is this even on my computer? This is my computer.
It's for your dance practice, isn't it?
I've lost all the good stuff. I've still got the Wesley Willis, by the way, guys. Don't worry. And I need to listen to that to find a track that we can play on the air that hasn't got swearing in. I could play you some Wildman Fisher. You aware of Wildman Fisher?
No, who is he?
You'll like Wildman Fisher. He's good. Hang on a second. Let's go to the Fisher King disc. No, let's not have that. Here we go. You like this? I like. Do you want? I'm a Truck.
Okay.
I'm a Truck turns songwriting on its head, guys, because the song becomes the song that he's singing about.
I'm a truck. I'm a truck. Say, mister, are you a truck? Yeah, I'm a truck. Can I have a ride? Sure, hop in. Oh, I'm a truck.
Listen, you turn the radio on.
I'm a truck. Say, mister, you ride good. Mind if I
He's
turn
doing
on
both
the
voices.
radio? Go ahead.
What song is playing on the radio?
Now the chart topper on this week's Top 30 Countdown. I'm a truck.
That's the song that's playing on the radio. Anyway, let's have the Who. No!
All right, now let's hear the number from your latest record. Were you setting out to achieve anything particular with this?
We were trying to achieve the sound which we get on stage at present. Can't Explain was written as a sort of commercial number two.
He doesn't know what the answer is, does he?
And we just want to try and
just play the
get
song.
rid of all that, and just show what we're really trying to do,
All right, fine. Well, you show us now.
Here we go, ladies and gentlemen.
And the Who. Tell us the title. I'm bound to get it
Anyway, anyhow, anywhere.
Oh, stop that. Unbelievable.
When I saw The Who at Glastonbury, they said, this is a song about seeing really, really far ahead.
And then they played this. Hang on.
Bring it. Yep. A classic I Can See for Miles.
That's, imagine having a contract as good as Wally Webb's. I'm taking another 3 weeks off. There's not a court in the law in the land that can stop me. That's how he talks. Catherine.
Yes. You know when we did that thing about the tring skirts?
Tring!
Do you remember?
Tring! Hello, can I help you? It's a skirt calling.
When some parents and
I'm too short.
When some parents don't like teachers.
Yes, I do. We spoke to the wonderful Joanna.
Yeah.
Joanna, if you're listening, I would like to get Joanna on with the doctor that we spoke to yesterday. I say spoke to, the one who sighed at me. I'd like to get those two having a conversation.
Sean Gabb.
Dr. Sean Gabb.
Ironic name.
He'll be in the podcast. I'd like to hear those two guys talking because, boy, oh boy, it would really make you just think that your life isn't as bad as theirs. Anyhow.
Pupils could be banned from school trips if their parents criticise teachers on Facebook and Twitter.
Anywhere.
The clampdown comes amid
Sorry,
a trend.
what? I wasn't listening. I was trying to be clever.
Yeah, I know.
Huh?
I noticed
What
it a bit.
happened?
Clampdown. Pupils could be banned from school trips if their parents slate teachers on Facebook and Twitter.
Oh, right. OK, sorry. I forgot we live in North Korea.
Well, funny you should say that. Morley Academy in West Yorkshire has sent a letter warning that derogatory comments will trigger a ban on enrichment visits.
Ban has been triggered on enrichment visits.
While personal or insulting comments will lead to the full withdrawal of privileges, like it's prison.
Fair play. If you go on and say, oh, Mr. Jones, you teaches physics as a bender, then yeah, you should. That is a personal insult, and stuff like that shouldn't be allowed. But if you go on and say, I'm very disappointed by the current ethos of the school that is encouraging my child to do
X, Y or Z.
X, Y or Z.
Or and Z.
Algebra.
One parent called the move censorship, worse than being in the North Korean army. Was it you? In fact, you know, what are you? It's not to do with you. It's in Morley in West Yorkshire.
I'm playing my teeth.
Don't do that.
Hang on a minute. Let me just play my... Hang on a minute. Ladies and gentlemen, we'll come back to that story in a second. Ladies and gentlemen, would you please welcome, live at the Royal Albert Hall, playing his teeth, it's Mr. Keith Moon. What song was that?
William Tell over.
Yeah, it was! OK, here's one for you.
It's always that.
Don't.
No, OK, I'm going to do... OK.
Name that tune.
Name that tune on my teeth. Right. This is what the Saturday show's going to be. I've worked it out. It's this. OK. What's wrong, Kelly?
I don't like it.
OK, here we go. Name this tune. OK. OK. I felt your teeth.
Good.
I'm really out of breath. Catherine, any ideas?
That face you did when you... That was horrific.
I have to expose my teeth. I think I'm bleeding. Any ideas?
Da 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 da.
No. Kelly?
No.
It was a hip song. You get it. OK.
Stop. Is it the Beatles? Thing you knew about Obra
Sergeant Pepper's Lonely
Oh, Catherine got it, Sergeant
Hearts
Pepper's.
Band.
You'll go. You got massive teeth. This will be easy. Go on.
All right, hang on, let me
I'm
think.
bleeding quite
Hope
soon.
you are.
All right, let me think.
Thanks, Kelly.
Let me think.
There we go.
Let me think. All right, here we go. Here we go. This is horrible.
OK. But you got really big teeth. This is going to sound awesome.
It'll be loud.
Da 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 da.
No.
Da.
No.
Give it to me one more time.
It's one of our favourites. Kelly, you should know this.
Okay.
Pay attention.
Okay, any ideas, Kelly Betts? Because I haven't got a clue.
Is it a Mama Cass song?
Yes.
Is it Make Your Own Kind of Music?
Oh, ladies and gentlemen. Kelly, do you want to play My
No.
Teeth?
No.
My Teeth?
I
They're
really
here.
don't like the sound of this.
Come and flick my teeth.
No.
Flick something of mine, please.
My finger really hurts.
I would
now.
love you to flick something of mine.
What?
The teeth, ideally.
Mm?
You could twang my earlobe. Got something else you can twang as well.
Mhm.
My long fingers. Fun game, huh? Doesn't it hurt?
My finger.
My teeth hurt.
I've hurt my bird.
There we go. Well, that really was probably the lowest
Anyway.
ebb we've ever sunk to.
Head teacher Leanne Griffiths insists parents are simply
yeah.
being asked to behave appropriately and avoid a breakdown in rapport.
In rapport?
Rapport.
Rapport. Exactly. David Rappaport.
Oh, don't.
03459 455 555. I think that is good. You shouldn't be allowed to slag off teachers like that.
Yeah, but threatening to ban their kids to
Or-
encourage a rapport is not the way. Is it?
How did the teachers know? Were they acted on the Facebook, or were the teachers actually scrolling parents' Facebook to see if
Do it. I know a way around this. You set up an anonymous snarky Facebook page, like there is one about us. By the way, the liker page has got more likers than the snarky hater page. How do you feel about them apples? That's the way that you do it. I'm glad that's sorted.
Is that sorted? Yeah.
Do you think more or less if David Cameron had a cheeky suck on a doobie? 03459 455 555.
Travel news for beds, cards, and bugs.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
In Bedford, the Bedford Southern Bypass has been closed westbound because of an accident between Cardington Road and the A6 at Elstow. And in Leighton Buzzard on the A4146, it's very slow between the Total Roundabout and the Ledburn Roundabout. And in Ware, Holly Cross Road's been closed because of an accident between Whitbury Hill and Capel Lane in both directions because a car hit a tree. In Warrenwood on the A1 southbound, there are queues from the Holiday Inn towards Barnet Lane at the Stirling Corner. And the M25 is queues anti-clockwise now from junction 17 from Maple Cross to 15 for the M4 at the Thorney interchange. Samantha Bruff, BBC Three Counties Radio.
Thank you, Sammy. Oh, what is... No, hang on. No. There we go. That's that. Okay, that's that. Terrible problems with the computers this morning. I don't know what's going on. Hopefully the button that activates Simon Oxley's newsometer will not fail us. More your calls after a little bit of the news.
Local and vocal across beds, hearts and bucks.
This is BBC Three Counties Radio.
It's 7 o'clock. I'm Simon Oxley. The headlines: residents' concerns over safety at Bedford Flats, Addenbrooke's Hospital put into special measures, and man seriously injured at Luton Hotel.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
Elderly residents in Bedford say they no longer feel safe in their block of flats, which was originally set up solely for retired people. Chandos Court, which is managed by Bedford Pilgrims Housing Association, will now be used to provide social housing for people of all ages, including families. The Housing Association says there are empty properties in the block due to a lack of demand from older people, and they have many families in need of housing. One of the residents is 72-year-old Basil Walker.
When we came here on the pretence that this was going to be warden controlled, we were going to be looked after, we had pull cords, we had this, we had that and the other. It was all part of the original contract. All of that's changing now. So anybody can move in now.
The trust, which runs Addenbrooke's Hospital in Cambridge, has been put into special measures after inspectors rated it inadequate. The hospital also takes patients from Bedfordshire and Hertfordshire. The trust has apologised following the report by the Care Quality Commission, which identified staff shortages, delays in appointments and risks to patient safety. Professor Sir Mike Richards is the CQC's Chief Inspector of Hospitals.
Over the last year, they do seem to have lost grip of some of the basics, particularly about the flow of patients through the hospitals. What that means is that they then have to open more beds. That then means that their staffing levels get too thin. They have to get more agency staff in, and it becomes a vicious circle.
Police are urging motorists to avoid the A421 Bedford bypass after an incident on the westbound section this morning. It's thought to involve a vehicle and a pedestrian. The road is closed westbound from the junction for the A600 to the junction for the A6. Diversions are in place. A man has been arrested after an incident incident at a hotel near Luton Airport on Sunday evening in which a man was left with serious head injuries. Police were called to the Hampton Hilton shortly after 9 p.m. The injured man in his 40s was airlifted to hospital in a critical condition. A 21-year-old man from Latvia was arrested at the scene. Police say a taxi driver who crashed into a guide dog in Stony Stratford has been given a verbal warning but won't be prosecuted. Mike Gurney's dog was hit on August Bank Holiday weekend whilst he was out shopping. Milton Keynes Council, who issue taxi licences, say they're investigating what happened. Campaigners are calling on every Hertfordshire County councillor to get a chance to vote on plans to build a rail freight depot on the former Radlett airfield site. The council has to decide whether to sell some access land to Helioslough, the company behind the scheme. Council leader Robert Gordon says the final decision can only be made by the Cabinet, so not every councillor can have a vote, but he says they are against the scheme and don't want to sell.
If we are forced to sell, and I use that word, if we're forced to sell, it will only because the law requires us to, not because we want to.
In sport, Chelsea must decide whether to appeal against Diego Costa's violent conduct charge after the FA began disciplinary proceedings following Saturday's controversial win over Arsenal. The weather, a mixture of sunshine and some heavy showers, a maximum temperature 16 degrees Celsius, and you can get the latest news and sport online at bbc.co.uk/3 counties.
Flipping it. Hang on a second.
Which we get.
No, that's the Who. Oh, blimey. This is the one. There we go. That's it.
Thank you, Simon. That was so professional that I just had to inject an air of unprofessionalism. Sure, why the hell not? 03459 455 555. Posh Spice. She goes out. She has her picture taken with some kids. She don't take her sunnies off. Now listen, if she were hanging out with, I don't know, Justin Bieber or the New Kids on the Block NKOTB, keep your sunnies on. You're playing the game. It's theatre. It's theatre. In the shop in the Cotswolds with 3 little girls who are 11, it's rude. I'm furious about this. I say furious. 03459 455 555. And if David Cameron had smoked a bit of weed when he was in college, I don't see it as damning. I don't think more of him. I don't think less of him. I think the same of him. Let's assume that the accusation... Forget the pig's head. Let's assume the accusation about David Cameron smoking joints in college is true. Does it change your opinion of him? It shouldn't. 03 459 455 555.
Across beds, hearts and bucks.
This is BBC Three Counties Radio.
I don't know if my... I never know if my texter is working after yesterday's texter not working. Is your texter working, and do we have any texters?
The texters are working.
Okay, what have you got?
Lee says westbound solid traffic on the A421 from Bedford towards Kempston.
Okay, thank you, Lee.
Was the sauce in the pig story an apple sauce, says Tony.
Oh, Tony.
And one from Peter in Walmer Green.
I don't think it was apple sauce.
Behaving like Corbyn media beta. No idea.
Okay,
what
thank
that
you.
means.
From Peter, from which one?
Peter in Walmer Green.
Oh, he's calling in. We'll find out exactly what that rant is about. Look, have I just said a swear? The phones have gone mental. That normally means I've dropped an F-bomb or something. 03459 455 555 is the telephone number. Elderly residents in Bedford say they no longer feel safe in their block of flats, which was originally set up solely for retired people. Chandos Court, which is managed by Bedford Pilgrims Housing Association, will now be used to provide social housing for people of all ages, including families. The Housing Association says there are empty properties in the block due to a lack of demand from older people, and they have many families in need of housing. Well, residents have recently been confronted by people fighting, sleeping, smoking and urinating on their doorsteps. Sounds horrible, doesn't it? We're going to speak to... we've got 2 residents lined up. Let's go to Basil Walker first. Good morning, Basil.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you, Basil. When did you move into the flats?
Approximately 9 years ago.
And why did you choose those flats? How was it sold to you?
As warden controlled. In other words, there was a warden on site, and we also had pull cords, obviously, for any emergencies. And it was to be over 60s only.
And explain to some of my younger listeners why having a warden on site was such an important feature.
Well, obviously, as you get older, you get frailer, I'm afraid. But it meant that you wouldn't have a lot of people coming in who were probably drunks, etc., like we did in the end. And it meant that there was somebody there that you could contact at all times if you needed help in any way. Say I fell down in the flat or the wife fell down or whatever, and I couldn't move her, I could pull the pull cord, and that would direct us into the people who would come round and sort us out.
When did they get rid of the warden?
That's been about 3 years ago now, I think. 2 or 3 years ago.
So the warden went, but it was still for, what, people over 65?
Still over 60 at first.
60, right.
Yeah.
Then when did that change?
Well, in 2012 we had a consultation, but back in the late 2012, at the end of 2012.
Yeah.
And then in 2013 they let us know that, no, they're going to drop the age. It was then going to be 50. So they helped them to let the flats, but they were going to vet everybody that come in to make sure that we didn't have any problems with them. But that didn't happen. We did have problems.
Well, what problem? And the age is lowered, and now there's no age limit. Is that right?
No, they've taken the age limit away completely this year.
Tell us some of the problems you've had.
Well, we've had outside our front door. There was a young lad. I say he's young to me, obviously, laying on the floor, and 3 men who were friends with a tenant along the alleyway here were kicking in him and threatening to kill him and cut him. So we had to call the police to come out and sort it out.
And was one of them a resident of the place?
Well, I don't know if he was actually doing any kicking or what has happened, but they were all his mates.
Okay, so
he was only in a bedsit.
Okay, so a resident was involved.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm flipping heck. And what's this about people urinating everywhere?
Yeah, well, down this we have a stairwell where we have to walk down like half a flight of stairs. So the rubbish that you get, obviously, you bag it and then you put it down the chute to go down in for the waste, etc. Well, what was happening was there was some youths camping out down the stairwell itself, smoking and doing drugs and drinking, and then they would just stand up and urinate all over the floor.
It don't sound nice. So, Basil, stay there. I want to bring Elaine into the conversation. Elaine, you live there as well, do you?
Yes, I certainly do. Good morning.
Morning, Elaine. Do you two know? I'm assuming you two know each other, do you?
We do.
Yes, I got to know Basil and his wife when I moved in 2 years ago.
Okay.
I originally lived over in Richbell Court.
Yeah.
And we had the same sort of problem. I was on the 14th floor. We had youths coming in, letting themselves in, running amok. I've found needles on the stairwells. I've found empty bottles of vodka.
That was
on the stairwells, etc.
Is that where you lived previously, or in Chandos Court?
Where I lived previously.
Okay.
So then I managed to complain, and they offered me a place here.
Yeah.
In Chandos. I moved in 2 years ago, got my home sorted out, etc., and carried on with my life. And then February of this year, I had 2 youths sleeping outside my front door.
What? Just to sleep on the floor outside?
Outside my front door. 2 nights on the trot. And on the second night, I confronted them, and I got
Elaine.
a verbal back chat from them.
Yeah.
Etc.
Well, but this is going to sound patronising. I don't mean it to. I would suggest this to anyone. Be careful confronting people that are sleeping on the floor outside your house.
As soon as they started swearing, I just shut the door.
Good for you. Have you? Okay, let's go through this. Have you spoken to the police about incidents like that?
Yes, I went down to Pilgrims the following day because I work part time.
Now, Pilgrims is the housing. They're the housing association.
Yeah, I went down to the housing association that following morning.
Yeah.
And confronted them. They logged it into their computer for my area manager, housing manager. And then I said, well, I'm about to go down to the police station. So I went down to the police station and they called me into a little office and I spoke to somebody there. And then another colleague came in, a police officer, and recognised me. and spoke to me about it.
Why did he recognise you, Elaine?
I
Are you a troublemaker? Have you been in trouble
I'm
with the
not a troublemaker.
Okay. Right, good.
No,
Good.
he was a young PCSO that used to go round the estate, etc.
Oh, okay.
So you got to know him then.
Oh, okay, yeah, lovely.
But now he's what I would call a proper copper.
Proper copper, yep.
Yeah, and I described these two adult youths, whatever you'd like to call them, and he said, and he looked at his colleague and said, I think we know who they are, sort of thing. So he said, well, log it in each time that you have a problem. The more logs in that we get on paper, the more we can do about it. And now they've dropped the age group even further. I feel sorry for the elderly residents that are petrified about opening their front door, etc.
And are there Basil, people that are terrified?
Well, obviously you don't feel safe because as you get older you're not as strong. I mean, I used to work as a doorman, but I wouldn't fancy taking on the way they are today because it's all knives, etc. and etc. You know, it's not just fists. So
Pilgrims, is it right that Pilgrims have suggested they can move you all somewhere else?
Yes, they suggested to move us across to the one behind us, which is Boswell.
Right.
Now, the thing is, there's no guarantee that Boswell will stay warden controlled anyway. On top of that, we've got to pay for our own move and redecorations, etc.
That's very stinky.
And we've invested our money in this flat.
Yeah, of course.
Thinking this was the last place we would, stay until we went out in a box, sort of thing.
Elaine, you've just moved in the last couple of years. I'm guessing you don't want to move again.
Oh, no, I don't. Definitely not. I've paid £900 for fitted carpets all the way through my flat.
Oh, what colour?
Burgundy.
Burgundy. Oh, that's
and it does look nice.
It's a bold move.
Homely. It's it's a dreary block. It looks horrible from the outside, but once you go in your front door,
that's your home.
And you bring your belongings in, you decorate it. It's your little palace.
It's your home, isn't it?
Yeah.
Of course, it's your home, and you want to feel safe there, and you want to make it your own. And to keep moving is not a solution.
We do have some elderly and frail residents here in the block.
You happy with the way that Pilgrims are dealing with this?
Not really. If only they would sort of vet the new tenants that are coming in.
Yeah.
That they haven't got no social problems, etc. And perhaps even did an age limit if there is going to be families in, say from 10 years old upwards. Because a 10-year-old you can control. We don't want children running down the corridors willy-nilly.
I just think it's a bit snarky. A, to have got rid of the warden, and B, then to have if it's.
What I thought I was going to have,
If the age limit's 60, to then change that seems a bit. I'm looking through my computer, Catherine, as we now have to do because all these things are scattered everywhere. I don't see a statement from Pilgrims. Did we speak?
We did have a statement. Hang on, it might be in the first bit that I
try and
read
find
out
it
Yeah,
because
here it is.
Go on.
They sent us two, in fact.
Okay, go on. Let's read it to these two.
Let's see. In fact, I think I might have an abridged thing. They said when the age restriction was first lowered, the residents in the scheme were consulted about the change. This year, when they proposed to remove the age restriction completely, the same residents were consulted and no objections were raised. Residents have been offered alternative accommodation at an identical sheltered housing scheme in the same area.
Home.
This offer still stands, and we'd be happy to help residents move into the scheme if they feel this accommodation would be more suitable.
And Elaine, were you consulted about lowering of the age?
Not like that, no. We were told that they wanted to lower the age. They didn't say they were going to drop it altogether, which is what they've done now. They've dropped the age completely. And on top of that, they say nobody complained. That is a lie. Right? I've got all the facts here in front of me, and I gave Tony a copy of this letter that I sent to him with 7 signatures on. That's not everybody's signature, obviously.
No.
Other people wrote in on their own.
Go on, Elaine.
I never myself received that letter. It was only the older tenants that had been here years before I arrived on the scene. They received the letters, and I got told about it, the age group being dropped. So I wasn't consulted by post.
All right, Elaine, We'll keep an eye on this, and I'm just... it's people's homes. It's people's homes and people's lives that are...
There's a bit here about the safety
Go on,
and
very quickly, 'cause
security.
we're late for travel.
Okay,
Go
to
on.
ensure that residents feel safe and secure, BPHA has installed security doors into Chandos Court. We take antisocial behaviour very seriously and would encourage those with concerns to contact us directly. We would advise the Chandos Court community to be mindful of whom they let into the building. Oh, so you're letting them in?
Well, hang on a second, Pilgrim. I'd be mindful of who you're letting into the building. Elaine Clark, thank you very much. Basil Walker, we've got to move on. It's... What a stinky story. Really stinky. You can't get a load of old people to move into a block and then start changing the rules as dramatically as that. We'll keep an eye on this. A bit late for the travel. Here we go.
Travel news for beds, cards and bugs.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
In Bedford, there's been an accident on the Bedford Southern Bypass, so that's been closed westbound between the A603 at Cardington Road towards the A6 at Elstow. Also in Deansang on the A422, there's reports of an accident at Buckingham Road, and Hollycross Road in Ware's been closed because of an accident between Widbury Hill and Capel Lane. It's busy on the M25 anti-clockwise. It's very slow from junction 20 for Kings Langley to junction 15 for the M4 at the Thorney interchange. Samantha Bruff, BBC Three Counties Radio.
Thank you, Sammy. Oh, no. 7:18, it's Tuesday the 22nd of September. I'm Iain Lee. These are your headlines on BBC Three Counties Radio. Elderly residents in Bedford say they no longer feel safe in their block of flats, which was originally set up solely for retired people. Police are urging motorists to avoid the A421 Bedford bypass after an incident which has closed the westbound section this morning, and the trust which runs Addenbrooke's Hospital in Cambridge has been put into special measures after inspectors rated it inadequate. Oh, flipping heck, no.
We've had a brilliant summer of cricket.
That's Edson Court, it's all over.
But once again, we're also celebrating our unsung sporting heroes.
He has such passion for sport. I'm extremely proud of what we've achieved here.
Who will you nominate? We're looking for someone who inspires people to get involved in sport across beds, hearts and bucks.
He's funny, he's never strict with you, so you don't feel pressured.
To make your nominations, go to bbc.co.uk/unsunghero and download an entry form. The closing date is Thursday, 22nd of October, with our 2015 Unsung Hero announced at the BBC Sports Personality of the Year in December.
She cares about everyone else more than she does about herself.
Get inspired, get nominating.
Bring it.
This is Iain Lee.
On BBC Three Counties Radio.
Computer is doing my Sweden. David's in Hitchin. Good morning, David.
Good morning, Iain.
So let's put the pig's head to one side. Let's put the allegations of cocaine-fuelled parties to one side. If David Cameron was at college studying prime ministerial studies, for which I believe he got a tutu, a Desmond, and he may have had a cheeky little spliff every now and then. So?
Right.
Do you think any more, any less, or the same?
I don't like the man.
Right.
Simple as that. But look, hey, I mean, did he go up Ladbroke Grove and score it himself, or did he just do as I've done, where you go around someone's gaff and it's being handed around?
Why? Okay, so you don't buy your own. You just go and blend. You go and bogart somebody else's joints.
I don't even bother. If I happen to be round there and they offer it around, you obviously accept one puff on it, you know.
So okay? Hang on a second. So okay? So are you saying that if David Cameron bought his own drugs? So we're stretching the elasticity of this story quite a bit. If we assume that David Cameron went and bought his own drugs, would you think more or less of him than if he just went to someone's room in halls of residence and had a little cheeky little, oh, could I have some of that, please?
Well, I wouldn't think less of anybody who simply joined in with the party that was going on, you know. But if you start on drugs, there is always a chance you're going to continue on and get into harder drugs.
Well, yeah, but then there's always the chance that you're not going to. If you start on shandy, there's always a chance you're going to become an alcoholic.
Yeah, there's logistics say that there is a percentage of people who will continue onward.
Well, no, there is a percentage of people that after trying marijuana will become drug addicts, but that's because they've tried drugs. You know, if you go and have a shandy bass, you might become an alcoholic. You might not.
Yeah, I mean, I absolutely adore all the tastes of alcohol.
And a little bit of the weed.
Just occasionally, but you know what? You know, any time I buy anything, I might get 1 or 2 pints during the space of a year.
God, you're a fun guy to hang out with. Are we inviting David and Hitchin out? No way! He never buys around.
And then at Christmas, I'll get myself a bottle of something nice.
Yeah, for yourself, yeah?
Yeah.
I'm confused, though. So if David Cameron bought drugs, you'd think less of him than if he was just there and the joint was being passed around?
I'd start thinking a bit more dodgy than I already believe.
Okay. What if he was rolling the joints?
What, for someone else?
No, for the pig. No, what if he was what? Does this story about him?
If he's rolling the joints, he's practised at it.
Yeah, he's practised at it. Yeah, and
yeah. I don't know. You bung in an and so I can answer it.
Yeah. Okay. And. Thanks very much indeed. But do you think more or less of him because of this story, or the same?
I don't think anything of him at all.
So you think the same?
Look, the fact of it is, if you knew some of the things that I'd done while I was a young'un, you'd think I was crazy.
No, I think you're crazy without having to know that information. But thank you. 03459 455 555 is the telephone number. And I think we're treading more cautiously around this story than we need to. I think that lots of this has kind of been out in the public domain for a long, long time. But if we assume, and forget the cocaine and forget the pig's head, those are completely different things. And the more I think about the pig's head, the more I kind of think, yeah, and, you know, and we've all put it somewhere we shouldn't, haven't we?
It's not in anything dead.
Huh? David Cameron, let's assume that the accusation that he was in a pot-smoking club, how old am I, at university, and, yeah, so what if he was? Do you think more, less, or the same of him? 03459 455 555.
Isn't the pot-smoking club called university?
No, you know, many people would argue that were the case.
This is Iain Lee.
On BBC Three Counties Radio.
Yesterday we had an incredible story from Mike Gurney, and we're all kind of just sat here going, "What is this real?" Basically, so Mike is a blind guy. He can see colour. He can see shadows, can't he? I think is what he said, Catherine. He can see shadows.
You could say pick out light and shade.
He's out for a little walk. Was it Stony Stratford?
Yes.
With his guide dog, Emily.
Emma.
Apologies, Emma. And as he's walking, he felt the dog kind of pull back behind him.
And nudge into his side.
Yeah. And so he put his hand down and he felt a car reversing into the dog. So he gave the boot of this car a massive whack. Well, let's listen to what he has to say. Hang on.
When my dog was suddenly thrown into my leg, I bent down and put my hand over her side because she'd gone slightly backwards, and that's very rare.
Yeah.
And up against her body was the back of what I later found out was a minicab.
Oh.
So I gave it 2 good whacks and shouted...
The minicab you gave the whacks to?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
I had no way of knowing if it was still coming back.
So what's the driver doing now?
Well, the police told me he was going to claim for damage to his boot. I'd dented it when I hit it.
Right, so the driver is not going to be prosecuted by Thames Valley Police. He's had a verbal warning. I can kind of understand that. That sort of makes... You'd like to think he'd get a fine or something, but a verbal warning, I think, is kind of fine enough. For me, what's interesting about this story, Catherine, that the scandal of this story is that the driver is trying to sue David... Mike, sorry. I'm looking at something spot on my screen. He's trying to sue Mike for the damage to his car where he walloped it. That's what the scandal is. I think that's outrageous.
And let's remember, he had mounted the pavement.
Yep. So he broke the law.
Reversed into this dog.
If only we had a statement from that cab company, which I was assured that we had. It turns out we don't, guys. Let's put a call in and let's find out what they've got to say. Siobhan Mead is blind and is also a disability activist from Stevenage. Morning, Siobhan.
Morning, Ian.
I don't know if you use a guide dog or not, but guide dogs are an integral part of many people's lives, aren't they?
They are, absolutely, and I do own a guide dog, and he's my second one.
Explain. Well, I mean, listen, I've just got a dog, and dogs are wonderful, and they're a part of the family. But explain why a guide dog is perhaps more significant.
A guide dog is basically the freedom that someone like myself needs to get around. And the independence that a guide dog brings is essential for me to be able to live independently as much as I can do. And without the guide dog, I don't think I would be anywhere near as independent as I am now. And I think I would be a lot more isolated. So guide dog for me is just essential in everyday life.
And it sounds like the dog's going to be okay. She's a little bit nervous and anxious after what happened, but Mike, we're going to keep in touch with Mike and find out. But it sounds like she will probably be okay. But something like this is stressful, well, to everybody involved, the dog and the person, the guide dog owner.
Yeah, indeed. This can have a long-term detrimental effect on a guide dog because obviously, you know, they're out and about in the community. And if the dog does become traffic shy, then there might be elements to that they might have to look at retiring. I mean, that's a very last resort in any case. But I do think it's crucial that, you know, drivers just pay attention to what they're doing. You know, regardless of whether it's a taxi or not, it's one of these things that you just need to look where you're going.
Well, I mean, this guy went up on the curb. Okay, and not to demean the excellent work of guide dogs. That could have been a toddler holding his mum's hand, or something.
Could have been, absolutely.
Could have been anything.
That's the point I wanted to make. Yeah.
Thames Valley Police aren't going to prosecute the driver. They've given him a verbal warning. A fine or, you know, something would have perhaps been more appropriate. I can kind of understand that. Where the story gets very smelly for me, Siobhan, is the fact that the driver is now going to try and sue Mike for the damage to his car.
I know. I mean, it's absolutely ludicrous. Without knowing the full circumstances behind the case, and there's lots of unknowns, I'm just staggered to actually think that anybody would want to try and prosecute or put a claim in against someone who was only doing what they thought right at the time and was trying to obviously look at this situation thinking, oh my goodness, I need to stop this vehicle. And being blind, you know, he reached out to try and indicate that the driver needed to stop. But I just can't believe that anyone would want to go to such lengths to try and prosecute for supposed damages to the car.
Here's the thing, Siobhan, the driver... I'm laughing because it's outrageous. The driver didn't get out of the car when it happened. He called Mike over. He said, "Oi, come have a word.
Come on the passenger side and let me speak to you," which is really dangerous.
Do you think, Siobhan, I was always, I don't know, there must have been a programme or something going on in my area, because I was always taught up to have ultimate respect, for blind people, and always, you know, if you see a blind person coming along, make sure you kind of step out the way, they've got room, stuff like that. Do you think that we have enough respect for blind people?
Enough respect for blind people. Is there enough respect? Full stop. But
in terms of respecting the limitations that blindness can impose on somebody by the very nature of its condition.
I think there are a lot of people who have ultimate respect for blind people for going out independently, living their lives. But I do think there needs to be a lot more respect and understanding for blind people and generally for people living within the community. I really wholeheartedly believe that, you know, there are a few that spoil it for the rest, because I would say that, you know, we live in a lovely society most of the time. But like I say, you know, there does need to be a lot more thought and respect for blind people and people generally.
Siobhan, always good to talk to you. Thank you, Siobhan Mead, disability activist from Stevenage. 03459 455 555. I'd love if you agree with the taxi driver and you think, well, fair play, the blind fella whacked his car, he dented it, he deserves a few quid back. Cheeky monkey. If you agree with that, I can't believe there's anybody who does, though. Really?
Travel news for beds, cards and bugs.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
On the Bedford Southern Bypass westbound, it's been closed because of an accident between Cardington Road and the A6 at Elstow. On the A422 in Deanshanger, there's reports of an accident at Buckingham Road, and on Holly Cross Road in Ware, that's been closed as well because of an accident between Woodbury Hill and Capel Lane. On the motorways, the M1 towards London is slow past junction 9 for Redbourne to 7 for Hemel Hempstead, and the M25 is busy anti-clockwise between junction 20 for Kings Langley and 15 for the M4 at the Thorney interchange. Samantha Bruff, BBC Three Counties Radio.
Across beds beds, hearts and bugs.
This is BBC Three Counties Radio.
With the headlines, I'm Simon Oxley. Elderly residents in Bedford say they no longer feel safe in their block of flats, which was originally set up solely for retired people. Chandos Court, which is managed by Bedford Pilgrims Housing Association, will now be used to provide social housing for people of all ages, including families. Police are urging motorists to avoid the A421 Bedford Southern Bypass after an incident which has closed the westbound section this morning. A cyclist has suffered serious injuries. The Highways Agency say the road isn't expected to reopen until lunchtime. And the trust which runs Addenbrooke's Hospital in Cambridge has been put into special measures after inspectors rated it inadequate. The hospital also takes patients from Bedfordshire and Hertfordshire. The trust has apologised following the report by the Care Quality Commission.
Three Counties Sports.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
Chelsea must decide whether to appeal against Diego Costa's violent conduct charge after the FA began disciplinary proceedings following Saturday's controversial win over Arsenal. Chelsea have until 6 o'clock this evening to respond. More from Iain Dennis.
The incident involving Lauren Koscielny in the 43rd minute sparked the events that eventually led to the dismissal of Gabriel. A three-man panel of former referees will now judge whether Costa is guilty of violent conduct for putting his hands into the face of the Arsenal defender. Meanwhile, Gabriel has been charged with improper conduct for his behaviour following his dismissal, while Santi Cazorla, who was also sent off, has been warned about his behaviour. Both clubs have been charged for failing to control their players.
Former Stevenage manager Graham Westley says he's thrilled to be back in football after being named as the new manager at League One side Peterborough. Westley left Stevenage in May after his third spell in charge. Tonight, the third round of the League Cup gets underway with matches including Sunderland against Manchester City and Aston Villa at home to Birmingham. In the National League tonight, Boreham Wood are away to Torquay. And England's women won last night 8-0 away to Estonia in their opening qualifying match for Euro 2017. BBC Three Counties News and Sport. The next full bulletin is at 8.
Bring it.
To kiss and tell, but I've been seen with fire up. I've never been with anything less than a 9. So fine, I've been on fire with Sally Field, gone past with a girl named Bo, but somehow they just don't end up as mine. It's a death-defying life I lead. I take my chances. I die for living in the movies and TV. But the hardest thing I ever do is watch my leading ladies kiss some other guy while I'm bandaging my knee. I might fall from a tall building, I might roll a brand new car, 'cause I'm the unknown stuntman that made Redford such a star. I've never spent much time in school, but I taught ladies plenty. It's true, I hire my body out for pay. Hey, hey, I've gotten burned over Cheryl Teague's, blown up for Raquel Welch. But when I wind up in the hay, it's only hay. Hey, hey, I might jump an open drawbridge or Tarzan from a vine, 'cause I'm the unknown stuntman that makes Eastwood look so fine.
Morning, Eduardo.
What Lee Majors?
What are Lee Majors?
Whatever happened to Lee Majors, Ian?
He married a really hot young woman who's got funny eyes about 3 years ago.
There's a man that never really fulfilled his potential. Do you not?
Do you know he did it? The best thing, and that's a really good point. He didn't. He didn't. Did he make movies apart from the $6 Million Man TV movies? Did he make movies?
I think he made some movies that you see on like the movie channel that is straight to video.
If there's not a movie channel called Straight to Video, there should be. His best, the Lee Majors' best performance ever was in Scrooged, the Bill Murray film.
Oh yeah, he was in that, wasn't he?
But he's in All right, it's a good film, right? Doesn't really stand the test of time. And they're showing trailers for what's coming up on that season on his horrible, snarky TV channel. And one of them is Father Christmas is being besieged by, like, ninjas or something. And Lee Majors kicks the door down. He's got machine guns and a cigar. And if I've got this correct, Father Christmas goes, oh, it's Lee Majors, the $6 Million Man. And that's his best, that's his finest performance.
So I'm going to run down to Blockbuster tonight and rent that.
It's on Netflix.
I'm still going to do the Blockbuster thing.
Guys, this filmography is tragic.
Oh,
From 1970 onwards, it's TV movie, TV movie, TV movie.
She's got Wikipedia up,
I mean, I'm all over it.
Well, hang on a minute. How many TV movies have you made, Catherine, before we start dissing the mage?
And listen, I wasn't married to Farrah Fawcett. He should have been aiming higher.
He was aiming just right.
Exactly, and then it all went wrong.
Oh, that's just pervy.
That's just pervy.
It is a bit, isn't it?
Yeah. What you got for it? While I'm talking to
Mind
Eduardo...
you, she did Playboy, so...
Yeah, did she? Yeah. While I'm talking to Eduardo, I'm trying to cancel my Xbox Live subscription. So
why are you trying to do that?
Well, I don't use it. And it turns out you can get all of the movie apps that I use for free without paying 40 quid a year. I don't play the games anymore, so...
Why don't you play the games anymore? What? This is quite... I'd rather explore this than David Cameron. So I'd like to know why the massive change and no gaming. Perhaps gaming is a good thing.
Cancelled. I've cancelled it. Because I don't really have time, because I go to bed at 8 o'clock at night and I've got two young lads, so I don't really have time to go around playing the COD and the GDA.
Do you not think that you'll be in a better position when the children are older to be an expert? You know, you might not be able to jump back on the Xbox horse. Technology may pass you by.
He's got a good point there. You make an excellent point.
It'll
good
be
point,
virtual
well
reality by then anyway.
Good point, well made.
Holograms and that.
The thing is, right, I just don't... I don't think I like computer games anymore. I like the old ones. I like my Spectrum Vega, which I will bring in next week because it's awesome. And I like all the retros, but I just paying...
I like my retro gaming. You know, next thing, you'll have a caravan.
Yeah, he's a bit, yeah.
You'll have a caravan.
Yeah.
Right? You'll have a caravan and
tell
you'll
that
go
child
to
in the
Wales.
background to shut up. Oh, no, that's Kelly, sorry. Yeah, I have a caravan and what?
You'll go to somewhere like Wales or perhaps Luton.
Well,
they're similar.
Yeah. No, I've regretted cancelling it. I've just cancelled it.
I don't think you should do it. Don't do it.
I've done it.
Maybe you'll get a welcome offer that's better. Tell them who you are. Tell them you're Iain Lee, the king of computer games.
Can you shut up?
Who? Which one? The old producer or the venerable caller?
Venerable caller. What's that from? King and I. No, not the caller. There's no callers
I
in
don't know,
the
but
King
he's
and
been
I.
quite dismissive about me. I think I might block him.
Yeah, should we block him?
Yeah.
Thanks for calling.
No, I like him.
No.
What do you want to say, Eduardo?
Well, I think I've said enough.
Thank you. Let's go to Adam. Good morning, Adam.
Good morning, Ian.
What you got for us, boss?
Just thoughts on the David Cameron, let's call it situation.
Let's assume David Cameron smoked a few doobies whilst listening to easy listening Steely Dan or Steely I Span, I'm never sure which one's which, in the 1970s, 80s. Do you think more of him if he smoked weed, less of him if he smoked weed, or the same of him if he smoked weed? Oh, no, Adam, it sounds like you've been smoking it. Well, I can't hear you. Try that again. He's gone. OK.
Oh, Adam. No one ever know.
Try and get Adam back, because on a decent line.
David Cameron's listening thinking, does he think more of me, less of me, or just the same?
03459 455 555. Genuinely, the story about him, if he smoked dope, doesn't affect my view on David Cameron one jot. Doesn't affect my view on him one jot. If anything, doesn't it allow him to give better insight into any discussions in the Houses of Parliament, the HOP, on drug legislation? Doesn't it? If he's actually used drugs, and you don't need to use drugs, you don't need to have committed a murder to talk about murder. You don't need to go to prison to talk about prisons. But doesn't it give him a bit more insight into the realities of narcotics?
Yeah,
and
corn-based snacks.
Adam, you back?
I am back. Hi, Ian.
Go on, fella, what you got?
Okay. I think that personally, I'm not a massive fan of the man, but it doesn't make me any more or less so, because he does it. I think that it's something a lot of young people try. I personally did when I was younger. I'm only 26 now. I'm not exactly middle-aged. And I think that, for some people, it's not unhealthy to do so. A lot of the older generations even say that it's a way to explore and find yourself. And I don't think that it's, you have to do it or you shouldn't do it. I think that if it's the case of people around you are doing it and you want to, as long as you're in a safe environment and you don't take it overboard, then there's not really an issue. It's called self-control, really. And clearly Mr. Cameron, he has it because he didn't go on to become, as a caller on the phone was saying earlier, he didn't go on to do cocaine and heroin and ecstasy. He didn't move on to the harder drugs, as far as we're all aware.
As far as listen, thank you.
This is all hypothetical anyway.
It's all hypotheticals. Yeah. Thank you, Adam. I'm trying to formulate my thoughts on that. I don't think it's necessarily self-control that prevents people from going on to harder drugs. I think in some instances it is. In some instances it's a spiritual disease, guys. 03459 455 555. Do you think more or less of David Cameron, or the same, if he had a few cheeky joints at university? 03459 455 555. And that's what I'd like you to go out on after 8 o'clock, please, Justin.
Yes, boss. I don't think it makes any difference, to be quite honest with you. I mean, if he can do his job now and he can do it well, what happened in the past happened in the past. Leave it there.
Do you know something, though? I think it's a generational thing. My parents will see that as drugs. He did drugs, and they see that as a character flaw.
All right. I'm going to say it, right? I'm going to tell the story. So, my mum's got MS, right? And one of the things that is good for MS is marijuana. It's a scientific fact, right? And I said to her, Mum, I work in television. I worked in television at the time. If you wanted to try it, I could probably get you some. I know a few people, right? And she went, yeah, go on then. My mum is as straight as a die. She's never smoked a cigarette once when she was 16. Never smoked, wasn't a heavy drinker. She said, yeah, do you know what? I'd like to try it. So we got some, I believe they call it grass. And I made grass tea with a tea diffuser, right? And because I didn't want her to do it on her own, I had some as well, okay? And basically, I got stoned with my mum, is what I'm trying to say. And I'm not condoning this or anything like that. It was purely a medical thing. And we watched Countdown.
Wow.
And my mum was...
Wow, that's cruel.
My mum was in hysterics at Countdown. And boy, oh boy, all of the family secrets were coming out. She was telling me everything about my nan and my granddad. And... at the end of it, I said, did you feel anything, Mum? She said, no, it didn't have any effect on me at all. She was wasted, bless her. And we then discussed it, and she made the decision herself that she didn't... her MS doesn't involve a significant amount of pain, and that's kind of what it's for, and she didn't want to proceed with it any further. But... do I think any less of my mum for doing that? I think more of my mum, actually, because she said, you know what, there's an option out there that I'm going to try. I'm going to have a go. I don't know why I'm telling this story about getting stoned with my mum, but there you go.
That's good.
It was good. Justin, we'll take that to the streets after 8, if you don't mind. Do you think any more, any less, or the same of David Cameron as a result of these allegations? Posh Spice, can we come to her after the weather? Can you wait 2 minutes?
Of course you can, fella.
Cheers,
yeah, no problem.
my dears. Thank you very much.
Travel news for beds, cards and bugs.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
In Bedford, there was an accident earlier on the Bedford Southern Bypass, so it's closed westbound between the A603 Cardington Road to the A6 at Elstow. On the A422 in Dean's Hanger, there's reports of an accident at Buckingham Road, and in Ware on Hollycross Road, there was an accident there earlier between Woodbury Hill and Capel Lane, but that's now reopened. On the motorways, the M1 slow southbound past junction 9 for Redbourne to 7 for Hemel Hempstead, and on the M25 it's busy anti-clockwise between junction 20 for Kings Langley and 15 for the M4. There's no reported problems on the train departure boards at the moment. Samantha Bruff, BBC Three Counties Radio.
Sammy, thank you very much. And guys, we're not doing the should we legalise it thing. Well, no. What do you think? I'm Ian Collins or something? No. Simple question: do you think more, less, or the same about David Cameron if the allegations of him smoking weed at university are true? 03459 455 555. It has no impact on my view on him whatsoever. If anything, I think he might be able to engage in debates about drug usage and legalisation and other things with a little bit more insight. 03459 455 555. Right, where are we now? It's 7:46. These are your news headlines. A cyclist has suffered serious injuries in an incident which has closed the A421 Bedford Southern Bypass this morning. Elderly residents in Bedford say they no longer feel safe in their block of flats, which was originally set up solely for retired people. And the trust, which runs Addenbrooke's Hospital in Cambridge, has been put into special measures after inspectors rated it inadequate. Oh, for crying out loud, no, it's the weather. Jeez.
Beds, Hearts and Bucks weather.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
Quite a damp morning across all three counties. Some heavy showers out there at the moment, working their way across. Some brighter spells too as well, so a real mixed bag. The heaviest of the rain seems to have moved south and eastwards, but it's not to say there's not going to be any more. These showers are going to continue for much of the day, becoming maybe a little less frequent later on, but it's not going to feel too pleasant. We've got a northwesterly breeze, which is adding to the temperature. We're not feeling too warm at all, 16 Celsius being the maximum, despite the fact we may see a little bit of sunshine before it sets later on today. Now, overnight tonight, with the cloud and potential showers remaining, we'll clear away and we'll get some nice lengthy clear spells, which will mean the temperature drops down into the high single figures, 8 or 9 Celsius, but also some mist and fog patches likely to develop as the wind falls lighter as well. A chilly start for Wednesday, but more sunshine around tomorrow. Nice morning actually, with sunshine or sunny spells, but gradually the cloud will increase through tomorrow afternoon and we could see some patchy light rain arrive by evening. Maximum temperature for Wednesday, 16 Celsius, and that's your forecast.
Three Counties Sport.
Tomorrow night, our last remaining team in the League Cup face Premier League opposition.
Into a good area, Tadic! 2-0 Southampton.
MK Dons host Southampton at Stadium MK.
And that was created by Reed. What a good ball in it was!
Hoping to make it to the fourth round for the second year running.
Baker slots it away! And this time Carl Robinson is celebrating!
Hear how the Dons get on in Three Counties Sport. Tomorrow night from 7 here on BBC Three Counties Radio.
Right, so there's a picture. It's Posh Spice. She's at a shop in the Cotswolds, and there are 3 little girls. They're 11-year-old little girls. Probably never even heard of the Spice Girls, but their mum said, "Oh, she used to be famous back in the day. She used to be famous back in there." And Posh Spice is so kind that she's deigned to have a picture of these girls. She's not taken her sunglasses off. Catherine, that to me is rude.
Well, I won't wear sunglasses indoors. You don't need to protect your retina from an overhead lighting system.
Well, I get the theatre of being a pop star.
Well, I think sometimes people disappear up their own pop stardomness because they don't see it as being weird to wear sunglasses indoors. I mean, for heaven's sake, whip them off.
But listen, if she's having a picture taken with any of the pop stars, the Jason Donovans, the Rick Astleys, any of the big stars, then yeah, enjoy the theatre, indulge in the theatre.
Yeah.
But these are 3 little girls. They're 11-year-old girls. Stop being so arrogant and haughty. It's a good word.
Wow.
Stop being so haughty around them. Justin, but you think she's a player?
I think this is absolutely fantastic. You know, if you had a picture taken with Ringo Starr wears sunglasses indoors all the time, would you say, Ringo, can you take them off because you're a little bit arrogant? No, you wouldn't. You'd have that photograph taken because that's what he's known for.
But I think they're prescription.
He has got. If you look at them, they are Sid Littles. They're milk bottles.
Okay, all right, okay, take that out of the equation. Victoria Beckham is known for wearing sunglasses. It's her style. It's her image.
Yeah.
Okay. So.
Okay.
I've taken this one to the streets because clearly you're outraged by somebody who's taken the time and effort to have a nice photograph with 3 young children on her holiday, by the way.
The time and the effort, trust me, I've been having loads of pictures taken with people who've been kind enough to pay me money, give me cash to come and see me talk for 90 minutes, right? There's nothing kind about having your picture taken. It's literally the least I can... No, she owes all of us a photograph. When am I getting mine? I've put dollar in her pocket. She owes me a photograph.
God, so bitter.
Instead of the sneery look she gave me once at the private lounge at Heathrow. Oh, yes. Yeah, gave me a dirty look.
That might just be a rest face.
What do the streets say, Dealey?
Well, I've taken this one to the streets, and who would have thought that talking about Victoria Beckham would enhance some tenseness on the streets? But that's exactly what happened this morning. Was she a bit arrogant by not taking the glasses off? Yes, we're actually talking about this. Is in the Mail today. Here's what happened.
Taking the street with J-Dubs, #Posh.
What do you think, madam?
I'm not interested in Victoria Beckham.
Oh,
or
come on,
anything
you
she
are.
does. No, I'm not. Nothing at all. Not at all.
Why don't you like her?
Well, why should I be interested in her?
She's a former Spice Girl.
I don't care.
She's local, she's vocal, she's got incredible talent, she's got a fashion range.
I'm a classical musician. I don't rate her as a musician, sorry.
She might not rate your classical music either.
Well, that's up to her. I don't ask her to listen to my music. I don't have to listen to hers.
If you saw Victoria Beckham, would you not ask for a photograph?
No, definitely not. Why should I be interested in her? She has nothing to add to my life.
She's an icon.
Not to me, she isn't.
Do you think it's outrageous that she's wearing sunglasses in a photograph with 3 young children?
I disagree. I think it doesn't matter if she's wearing sunglasses. Some people have to wear sunglasses to keep the sun out of their eyes.
That's a very, very good medical point to leave on. Thanks for your time, madam.
Okay.
Let's get the Sri Lankan perspective. Sir, should Victoria Beckham have taken those sunglasses off before the photograph?
I don't think. She can wear whatever she wants.
Do you think she's a babe?
What do you mean, babe?
I think she's got issues. There's a lot of pressure on her to look good, and if she's feeling a bit knackered, a bit tired, she don't want to show that. So I don't blame her, but I don't like her life. I think her life must be pretty grim, don't you?
Pretty grim, what, travelling the world and, having everything you want?
No, she's under so much scrutiny. She can't live a normal life, can she, poor thing? That's why she looks like a stick insect. I like my life.
All sweaty first thing in the morning. Go and enjoy your run in your lycra.
I've done it. I've got to go to the shower now, get to work.
OK, I think that was an invite. Thanks, madam. Cheers.
Dealey, excellent stuff. I disagree with all of those people, apart from the ones, of course, I agree with. Can you take David Cameron to the streets? If the allegations of him having a little cheeky doobie every now and then are true, do you think more, less or the same? Could you do that, please, Buzz?
I'm going to get onto it right now.
Cheers, my dear. Speak to you later on. Ta-ta.
This is Iain Lee
on BBC Three Counties Radio.
Now, when Ed Miliband was running Labour, running in inverted commas, the Luton MP Gavin Shuker had some big jobs. He was at the Department for the Environment and more recently at International Development. But he stepped down since Jeremy Corbyn took over. Let's find out why. Morning, Gavin.
Good morning, how are you?
Yeah, good, thanks. What's your beef with Jez?
Oh, I've got no beef with Jez at all, but I do kind of look forward over the next 12 months or so, and I can see some issues coming up where it's going to be quite tricky for me to support the same line as Jeremy.
He doesn't want you to do that, though, does he?
Well, he was incredibly generous, actually. He offered me a choice of some jobs in the new administration, which I'd normally be really happy to do, but what I don't want to do is take on a job and in 3 months' time have to walk away, causing a big hoo-ha.
But hang on, what jobs did he offer you?
Well, a junior level, so below the shadow cabinet level, I was given a choice of some things, including actually staying on in the shadow DFID role that I was doing. I love that role, but what I don't want to do is embarrass the Labour Party by having to walk away over something that is clear and principled, and Jeremy understands that. In fact, he's been so principled, he's voted against the Labour Party more than 500 times in the last 15 years.
We'll get to that in a second. What jobs did he offer you?
Well, I was first of all offered to stay on in the position that I'm in at the minute, which is Shadow DFID Minister, and then I was asked if I'd consider something else elsewhere.
Which was?
Well, an open invitation, actually.
OK, you take your pick.
Well, at a junior level, and to be honest, I think that was more coming out of, we'd love to keep you on if it's possible, and being polite in that. But there wasn't, a specific kind of, can you go over here? And that's absolutely fine as well.
Do you think that you were snubbed?
No, I don't at all. It's really nice of you to worry about my career so closely, Iain. But honestly, it's not about that. And anyone that's been able to
because the argument about the argument, Gavin, about disagreeing with him doesn't hold water.
Go on.
Well, you know it doesn't hold water because he has said that he wants to change the way that the Labour Party is run, and everybody. You said yourself he's voted against Labour in his past. He encourages discussion of thought, and if you're not in the game, you can't play, and you can't then get upset when things don't go the way you want.
Oh man, Iain, I'm not upset at all. I'm playing the game by being present. If you're on the top kind of 80 positions within the party, you vote the same way as the other 79 people in that group.
No, you vote how you should. Surely you should vote how your heart, how your soul tells you. That's what Corbyn's done, and that's what he said he wants his ministers to do.
No, he hasn't actually. He hasn't suspended collective responsibility. So collective responsibility is where, at the top level, you all vote the same. If you disagree, so for example, when we were asked whether we wanted to go to war in Syria 2 years ago, I made it clear that I couldn't vote with the Labour Party if we were going to support that. I would have had to walk away from my job. Actually, that kind of pressure enabled us to avoid doing that.
But apart from when there's a three-line whip, surely you're allowed to vote as your heart and your soul tells you. That's why people vote for Gavin Shuker. That's why people vote for their MP.
And that's exactly what they're going to get with Gavin Shuker.
But you're not. But you've walked away from the table.
No, I haven't actually. What I've made sure is that I'm going to be able to have the freedom to vote on issues that are really important. With my principles. Now, what I'm saying is,
but Gavin, this argument doesn't make sense. You've already said that that's what Jeremy Corbyn has done for his entire career. Is he's voted with his principles. He has said he wants a Labour Party. He said that there are lots of people in the Labour Party that disagree with him, but he wants to open up discussion. Why are you not prepared to get involved in discussion?
And that's the discussion that I'm choosing to be involved with, Iain. But the top
by stepping down.
Of the Labour. Iain, hold on 1 second. The top 80 positions of the Labour Party are still bound by collective responsibility. So I'm afraid it's not my argument that doesn't hold up, it's yours. Those 80 positions will vote with collective responsibility, whether it's...
So a junior position is one of the top 80?
Yeah, I'm afraid so.
And you're saying that you would not be allowed to vote as you wanted to vote?
That's correct.
Gosh, well, if that's true, that's outrageous. Do you not feel that that all of these Labour people, the Labour MPs and stuff, he got a massive majority? And what I'm hearing from people like Chuka Amuna and Liz Kendall, and I'm surprised, Gavin, what I'm hearing from you as well is it just sounds really disrespectful to a man who's got a massive majority and has been voted in. And I kind of get the impression everybody's huddling and either, if not stabbing him in the back, at least waiting and rubbing their hands with anticipation for when he inevitably falls.
Well, I hope that he doesn't inevitably fall. In fact, if you go onto my website, you'll see why I've chosen to step down. I wanted to succeed. I don't want to be part of the problem. You didn't see me resigning during his speech. Actually, I offered just to step down quietly, which is what I've done over the course of this period. I'm not walking away from the Labour Party, and I want to see a Labour government in 2020. I just don't see how that's going to work if I end up getting to a point where I just can't support a position and have to resign, which is a much bigger story. And actually, Jeremy understands that. As I said, he's been someone over the last 15 years in particular that's voted so principally that he's actually voted with the Conservatives more times than David Cameron.
3 final questions, and I find this fascinating, Gavin. So this is the first time I've kind of had an inside look. Did you tell Jeremy Corbyn that you were stepping down, and what did he say?
I didn't have a direct conversation with Jeremy, but I said back to him. Yeah, but I said, well, in fairness to him, it's a new job and he's got to get through an enormous number of shadow ministers, so don't consider it to be a stump. We had a really nice friendly conversation the other day. Where I said I really wanted to succeed, and we continue to be on really good terms.
Do you think if Jeremy Corbyn is leader of the Labour Party at the next general election, that he'll become Prime Minister?
I think it'll come down to what policies we have, in all honesty. I think it probably looks quite tough, but it was going to look tough under any particular leader. Bear in mind, we're 100 seats behind, and we need to get an enormous number of people that like voting Conservative to vote Labour. That was a tough gig for any leader coming in.
And I've forgotten what the third question was, so there we go. So I'm going to make up a third question. If the stories of David Cameron smoking pot at college are true, do you think any more, any less, or the same of him?
Exactly the same as before. I mean, he said he had a normal university experience. I was quite fortunate. I got to go to a good university like him, and we all watched with horror as everyone played out Brideshead Revisited. It doesn't change my opinion of him whatsoever.
So if a normal university experience involves smoking dope, did you have a normal university experience?
I had a normal university experience, but I've never done any drugs at all. I'm very dull, I'm afraid.
Well, no, doesn't that? I don't think it's a judgment on dullness or not. Gavin, as always, I appreciate your openness and your honesty. Thanks for talking.
Cool, have me back.
Thank you very much.
Travel news for beds, cards and bugs.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
In Bedford, on the Bedford Southern Bypass, there was an accident earlier between Cardington Road and the A6 at Elstow, so it's been closed westbound. The diversion is through Bedford via the A600 North. On the A507 in Alsius, reports that it's been partially blocked by an accident between Stotfold Road and Hitchin Road. And in Deans Hanger, there was an accident earlier on the A422 at Buckingham Road, but that's now been cleared out of the way. Samantha Bruff, BBC Three Counties Radio.
Thank you, Sammy. Thank you, Gavin. Sorry to be a little bit late for the news. I was finding that fascinating. Your thoughts, please. 03459 455 555.
Local and vocal across beds, hearts and bucks.
This is BBC Three Counties Radio.
It's 8 o'clock. I'm Simon Oxley. The headline: cyclist seriously injured on Bedford bypass. Residents' concerns over Bedford flats, and Addenbrooke's Hospital put into special measures.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
A cyclist has suffered serious injuries in an incident which has closed the A421 Bedford Southern bypass this morning. Bedfordshire police say they were called shortly after 6 o'clock. It's believed the cyclist was in collision with a vehicle. Police are urging motorists to avoid the area. The road is closed westbound from the junction for the A600 to the junction for the A6. Diversions are in place. The Highways Agency say the road isn't expected to reopen until lunchtime. Elderly residents in Bedford say they no longer feel safe in their block of flats, which was originally set up solely for retired people. Chandos Court, which is managed by Bedford Pilgrims Housing Association, will now be used to provide social housing for people of all ages, including families. The association say they take antisocial behaviour very seriously, but resident Basil Walker says they've had to put up with people fighting, smoking and urinating outside their doors.
We had people outside our door. One man was laying on the floor and three men were kicking him and saying they were going to kill him. Then we called the police. Eventually they came. We've had other people down on the stairwell sleeping, smoking, drinking, urinating.
The trust, which runs Addenbrooke's Hospital in Cambridge, has been put into special measures after inspectors rated it inadequate. The hospital also takes patients from Bedfordshire and Hertfordshire. The trust has apologised following the report by the Care Quality Commission. Professor Sir Mike Richards is the CQC's chief inspector.
Over the last year, they do seem to have lost grip of some of the basics, particularly about the flow of patients through the hospitals. What that means is that they then have to open more beds. That then means that their staffing levels get too thin. They have to get more agency staff in, and it becomes a vicious circle.
A man has been arrested after an incident at a hotel near Luton Airport on Sunday evening, in which a man was left with serious head injuries. Police were called to the Hampton Hilton shortly after 9 p.m. The injured man in his 40s was airlifted to hospital in a critical condition. A 21-year-old man from Latvia was arrested at the scene. The Home Secretary Theresa May will join other EU ministers in Brussels this afternoon to try to reach agreement on how to deal with tens of thousands of migrants arriving in Europe. So far, talks have failed to achieve a consensus on how many refugees each member state should accept. Britain has opted out of a quota system, while several countries reject the proposal. The head of Volkswagen in the United States has said the company will take steps to restore customer confidence after it admitted rigging emissions tests on its diesel engines. The German manufacturer, whose UK headquarters are in Milton Keynes, could face penalties in the US of up to $18 billion, nearly £12 billion. In sport, Chelsea must decide whether to appeal against Diego Costa's violent conduct charge after the FA began disciplinary proceedings against the striker following Saturday's controversial win over Arsenal. The weather: a mixture of sunshine and some heavy showers, a maximum temperature 16 degrees Celsius. And you can get the latest news and sport online at bbc.co.uk/3 counties.
Thank you very much, Simon. Oh, exciting news. We might have the Bare Naked Lady on the show as early as Tuesday or Wednesday next week. I might be going to meet them on Monday. Busy show this morning. If you want to talk about what Gavin Shuker just said there, Labour MP, he stepped down from a junior position because he doesn't agree with Corbyn. I just kind of, and I always appreciate Gavin on, I suspect he's more open than a lot of the MPs that we get. If you want to hear an example of that, download last week's podcast. Oh, man. But I'm not totally sure I buy everything that he had to say. Your thoughts, please. 03459 455 555. It's interesting to get a Labour perspective on it. We've heard so many Tories talking about Corbyn, so to get someone on the inside, as 'twere. Let's assume that David Cameron did smoke dope at university. It's being described as a normal university experience. By the way, I don't think if you don't take drugs, you are boring or anything like that. You know, no judgments like that here. But let's assume these revelations, these allegations have come out in an attempt to smite David Cameron. What's interesting is that perhaps the more serious ones about whether he knew that the gentleman who was paying loads of money to the Tories was a nom-dom earlier than he said. That's kind of been pushed to the side. But we assume that David Cameron smoked dope. Do you think more of him, less of him, or it doesn't change your opinion at all? And I can't see how it would, really. 03459 455 555.
Across beds, hearts and bucks.
This is BBC Three Counties Radio.
And we can do this as well as a phone, and we might carry this over tomorrow. And we might do it on the Down the Rabbit Hole, the show that's hosted by Catherine and myself. You're not even producing it, Catherine. You're like your name is in the title.
I'm going to be lording it up. I'll be wearing shades indoors.
You won't be lording it up, mate, because you don't know how to operate the studio.
I'm sure I can work it out if you've managed it.
When Joe 90 showed us, you were too busy looking at his ass instead of looking at him fiddling with the knobs. I was focused, as always, on the knobs. That's why I'm so smart at running the studio. For example, I can...
How many times have you played Getting Jiggy with it by accident this morning?
That is not hardly at all.
A bit.
Not hardly at all.
About
So
20
Saturday,
times.
October...
Wait!
You did that.
No, never. I'm in here.
Yeah, but you can still do stuff in there.
I'm not Mr. Tickle.
You
Just talk to Tony.
So Saturday, October the 3rd, midday, facebook.com/Radio Rabbit Hole. Tony's on the line. Morning, Tony.
Morning, Ian.
What you got for us, boss?
Forget about Lee Majors and the $6 million man. Chuck Norris is the guy. Do you remember him?
I do remember Chuck Norris. He had the what's it kicked out of him by Bruce Lee in The Way of the Dragon, and then went on to make a series of straight-to-video movies.
Yeah, but they were better than Lee Majors.
Well, the Octagon. Well, the Octagon was good. A Force of One was good. Invasion USA was good. You're surprised I can reel these off.
Yeah.
But the rest, he had what was his TV series? Walker, Texas Ranger. That was a stinker.
That's still on there now. If you go to the 109th channel on Freeview or something like that, he's on there some night.
But the thing I don't get about Chuck Norris, right, is he's tiny. He's only about 5'1". I don't get the wig. I mean, really, if you look at... I could watch The Octagon when I was 16. I bet if I sat down to watch it now, I'd be bored in 20 minutes.
Yeah, well, that's old age for you, isn't it?
Well, yeah. So you're saying that if Lee Majors had a fight with Chuck Norris, 7 times world karate champion, would beat Lee Majors?
Yeah, I don't know what the age difference is between them, but you've got to put that in the equation, haven't you?
I think that they're both of an age now where they're kind of just old. They're just old.
What do you reckon, 1 round each?
Then a good lie down.
Yeah.
A little bit of medication from Nursey. Thank you, Tony. Let's never forget Chuck Norris. This is what we'll do tomorrow. Careers that never quite lived up to expectation.
What happened to MacGyver?
I don't know who MacGyver is.
Exactly. Who was the actor that played him? Because we just know him as MacGyver.
Didn't he die?
Oh, I don't know.
Wasn't he Madiver? What?
You can't. I mean...
That was close. That was close, wasn't it? I think MacGyver died.
Hang on.
You investigate while I talk to our next guest and see what's going on here. A group of elderly neighbours say they no longer feel safe in their Bedford flats because now anybody can move in. Chandos Court was once a sheltered housing complex, then it was opened up to over 45s, and now the age restriction has gone altogether. Residents say they've been confronted by people fighting, sleeping, smoking, urinating on their doorsteps. Well, Bedford Pilgrims Housing Association says there's not enough demand from older people to fill the block, and the old people can move to a block that's got a warden if they want to. Karen Perry is the Chief Executive of Age UK Bedfordshire, who works directly with some of the residents of Chandos Court and joins me now. Morning, Karen.
Good morning.
I'm really surprised that the Bedford Pilgrims Housing Association could keep changing the rules. I would have thought that if you moved in and it was for people over 60 and there was a warden, that they would kind of have to keep supplying that service. Or even if they got rid of the warden, keep the age the same.
Well, one would assume so, but housing associations are obviously able to change their criteria over the years. I am aware that Chandos Court a couple of years ago had some changes. It was at the point when there was a court closing down in Kempston, and we spoke to some of the residents there. Williamson Court was closed. That was also sheltered accommodation, and people were enabled to move out and move to other sheltered accommodation or indeed extra care housing, which seems to be the way that both the government and the local authorities across the country are going. They're reducing their stock of what they call sheltered accommodation, which is warden controlled, and they phased out permanent wardens, and now you have a lot of mobile wardens working around a whole group of flats rather than having a warden on site. And they're moving away from that. They say the demand isn't there, but people want to stay in their own homes for longer and then have a care package put in place. Under the new Care Act, everybody's entitled to have an assessment for care, so you can do that, or indeed wait and then go into what they call extra care housing. There are a few of those that have sprung up across Bedford and Bedfordshire, and that seems to be the way that both the housing associations and the local authorities are going.
Let's look at it from the other way, Karen. If there is, if there isn't as much demand for older people to live in homes with wardens, and pilgrims have got these properties they need to fill, and they've got families that can fill them.
Yes.
Can we really think badly of pilgrims for putting younger families in?
Well, this is the balance, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because you've got a housing association that isn't specifically for older people, that is the social housing association in Bedford, a very, very large one, and they are a business. They have to, utilise the stock that they have. So, if you come down on their side, you would say, well, yes, what's the problem? We all live in streets as a rule anyway. You've got older people, middle-aged people with children, younger people with children, and single people all living, fairly harmoniously in the streets around Bedford. So what should be the difference in places like Chandos Court? That's the difference. But from an older person's point of view, who's felt safe and secure because they know they've been living in a building where they only have people of their own generation, their own age living there, they come to feel safe in their environment. And I think this is what's happening now, because that is changing, and it did sort of change a couple of years ago when the age range was reduced.
Yeah.
And 45, somebody of 85, 90 is going to think, well, somebody of 45 is so much younger than them. But if you then get people of anything from 18 upwards moving in, then there is what we call the fear factor, isn't there?
Yeah,
There's a fear factor of, oh my gosh, am I going to get a group of people moving in who are going to party all night or going to be drinking or taking drugs?
It turns out,
horror stories.
Yeah, and some of the stories that I'm sure you've heard from the residents there, we spoke to one lady, people asleep on the floor outside her front door, and she has a word with them, and they tell her to, F off and so. No one should live like that, but elderly people in particular, come on, let's be honest, the last couple of decades of their life, let them have some peace.
Absolutely, 100% agree with you. And Chandos Court is not a particularly nice place anyway. It's very old stock. BPHA knocked down a couple of smaller sheltered accommodation blocks. And there's a car park now in Bedford. It's just on Greyfriars. And one sort of wonders why they didn't then rebuild something for, the whole community rather than, knock down a sheltered block and just leave it as a car park. I don't know the answer to that. But, one could put that point to BPHA. The other thing is if the flats are being used as rough sleeping and things like that, then I would suggest that BPHA are contacted by the residents who are, suffering this happening. And also, one doesn't want to sort of raise the alarm bells at all, but there is also the police or the PCSOs, who can actually visit those flats and help the residents to either protect themselves or have a better standard of living. But BPHA are responsible for that.
Yeah, well, Karen, I've got to move on. They're kind of telling them the old keep a diary of events. Karen, I appreciate your time. Karen Perry, Chief Exec of Age UK Bedfordshire. It's BBC Three Counties Radio. Let's get the trav.
Travel news for beds, cards and bugs.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
It's busy in and around Bedford because the Bedford Southern Bypass has been closed westbound by an accident between the A603 at Cardington Road and the A6 at Elstow. So in both directions on the A6 it's very slow between the A421 and London Road. Also Bedford Road has queues from Park Road towards Cardington Road too. And the A507 in Alsey, that's busy, that's partially blocked in both directions, causing delays between Stutford Road and Hitchin Road. On the motorways, the M1 southbound is very slow from junction 9 for Redbourne to 7 for Hemel Hempstead. And on the train departure boards, there are no delays showing up at the moment. Samantha Bruff, BBC Three Counties Radio.
Thank you, Sammy. Baby. 8:17. It's Tuesday, the 22nd of September. I'm Iain Lee. These are your headlines on BBC Three Counties Radio. A cyclist... Sorry, something just flashed up on my screen. I do apologise. A cyclist has suffered serious injuries in an incident which has closed the A421 Bedford Southern Bypass this morning. Elderly residents in Bedford say they no longer feel safe in their block of flats, which was originally set up solely for retired people. And the trust which runs Addenbrooke's Hospital in Cambridge has been put into special measures after inspectors rated it inadequate.
Every weekday morning.
Good morning, Jonathan.
Morning. Do you think it's right to tell 1 million disabled people they should get off benefits and find a job?
Have your say on today's big phone-in.
People who are going to be a nuisance are going to be a nuisance regardless of whether there are things to do.
Is it true that people over the age of 65 drink far too much booze?
The JVS show fights for your rights and tackles your consumer problems.
Waited and the receipt came out, but the cash didn't.
It's become a problem of late because obviously the trees got bigger as we've got here.
We couldn't shut the French windows. It would appear that they'd buckled.
I had a phone call from my daughter saying if we don't get off the train, they're going to hand us over to the British Transport Police.
The JVS show, weekdays from 9 on BBC Three Counties Radio. This is Iain Lee.
On BBC Three Counties Radio.
Maybe. Might have to play a long song in a minute. Have I got?
Is it American Pie time?
I might even be close to the... It might be side one of Close to the Edge by Yes. I mean,
my goodness.
Yeah, so let's see if we've got it.
In cricket you need a night watchman. I could be your night watchman if you want.
You don't want to watch what...
No, it means I stand here while you go to the toilet.
Guys, listen. If you start to hear this... Hang on a second. If you start to hear this... It's coming. I've got to jump forward a bit. There we go. You start to hear the gentle sounds of cosmic music and water. That means we've entered the 18.5 minute phase and, emergency stations. Not feeling, suddenly my stomach has just gone, as the song says, close to the edge.
Enjoy your shreddies.
So if this kicks in, then we're in trouble. Akbar!
Good morning, Ian.
Morning, boss.
Cameron is an efficient prime minister, and his taking of drugs at wherever is immaterial, and in a way it helps him to look at these issues in a more intelligent way.
You're suggesting that by taking drugs, and let's assume this is still allegations, but if we assume that David Cameron took drugs, that helps him become a better prime minister.
He would know. He would have some insight into the issues surrounding drugs, but because he did it what he did. Oh, God knows how many years ago. So he has gone through that experience, and that experience.
What's interesting, right, about the whole story, the pig story, the drugs. Did you go to university, Akbar?
Yes, I did.
Did you have in inverted commas, normal university experience?
Yes.
How normal? Did you get up to what Cameron's been accused of?
No.
Okay. If what's interesting, okay, because the pig thing, it comes from one anonymous source. Okay, so we can probably push that to one side. The dope thing, no one is that bothered. We're all supposed to get really angry that maybe he smoked weed. Well, it turns out no one's actually that bothered by it. The story that kind of got ignored yesterday in the revelations is the fact that the guy who wrote the book, whose name escapes me, the billionaire donor... Ashcroft. Lord Ashcroft, who's written it because he's having a hissy fit because he didn't get the job that he was promised. The thing that comes out that no one's really picked up on is that just before the general election, David Cameron said, he'd only just found out that Lord Ashcroft was a nom-dom, which is relevant because of nom-doms giving large cash to political parties. The book suggests that David Cameron knew years ago. So the revelation that no one's picked up on is that David Cameron, according to the book, is a liar.
Well, I don't think it's David Cameron is a liar. I think Ashcroft is taking out on him for whatever has been promised.
He's having a hissy fit.
Exactly. And there's no evidence that Cameron did promise him anything. I think. He has been pouring loads of money into Conservative Party, and he perhaps
he didn't get what he wanted.
Exactly, and that's made him to say all these
such
unpleasant things about Cameron.
It's such a shame because Ashcroft was so good in the Verve, and then for him to have sunk like this. It really is disappointing. Akbar, thank you so much indeed. Any texts before we crack on?
Yeah, we have got some texts.
Excellent. Milton Keynes Council says it's investigating after a guide dog was hit by a taxi driver in Stony Stratford. The story we did yesterday, and I just thought this deserves so much more attention. It was a guy called Mike. Just remind us of the story, Catherine, because I don't have the clip. So just tell us about Mike.
Mike's walking along the street with his guide dog, Emma. He's on the pavement. All of a sudden, he feels Emma push into the side of his leg. Puts his hand down to work out what's going on with Emma and feels the boot of a car. I mean, reversing into the dog on the pavement. So he slams his hand on the boot like so.
Theatre of the mind.
The car stops, and it turns out the taxi driver didn't see him.
Yeah.
So what does he... And he's not the only one. Mike can't see either. And the taxi driver is calling him over, saying he can't come round. He can't get out of his cab. And he's saying to Mike, "You can come round here into the road." He said, "I'm not going to go into the road." What are you talking about?
You're telling the story like a mam. Basically,
I am a mam.
The taxi driver's got a verbal warning, and he is possibly threatening to sue Mike for damage put upon his car.
The police said,
which sounds crazy.
The police said that the taxi driver's thinking about suing him for the damage, and they can sort it out between their two insurances.
Well, let's speak to Deborah Saney, who is head of personal injury at Picton Solicitor in Luton. Morning, Deborah.
Morning, Ian.
This is wow. This is one heck of a case. Ever heard anything like it before?
I haven't. It's a bit of a sad tale, really. I'd like to think that the taxi driver is not going to do anything, really. I think he's obviously quite aggrieved at having his taxi damaged, albeit quite minor damage, and he's probably said to the police in the heat of the moment, "I'm going to take this further." But I would like to think that actually he's not going to, and I imagine he would have done so by now.
What you must have people that come in, for example, assuming this driver came into you, where you go that they present their story, and you go, "Really? You want to sue a blind guy because you hit his dog?" Do you get cases where you just think, where on earth are you coming from?
Yes, we do, all the time. And I think any good lawyer is able to say to a potential client, "Look, it's really not worth pursuing this for whatever reason." Sometimes accidents happen, so nobody's at fault anyway. It's just one of those things. There's no negligence, or it's just not worth pursuing. I mean, in this case, the taxi driver would go to his insurers, and I hope everyone would look at it in the right way and say, "Look, really? Do you want to pursue this guy?" I mean, the fact that the police didn't take it further doesn't mean that his driving was correct.
Yeah,
he was still on the pavement. And potentially, like the guy said, I think I've read one of the articles online, it could have been a child, it could have been more serious. It doesn't mean that his driving was good. The police have just decided for whatever reason it's not worthwhile pursuing. And that might be correct. I mean, it's all public money at the end of the day. But it doesn't therefore mean that the taxi driver then has to take it further.
Are we getting more... I remember about 20 years ago, that's how old I am, Deborah. I remember about 20 years ago, people saying, we're going to start becoming like America, with those where there's a blame, there's a claim. Because we didn't used to have that culture about 20 years ago. British people were very reticent to sue or to claim compensation or to get what was rightfully theirs. Feels like we've gone way too far the other way now, and that that people will try and get a bit of compo at the drop of a hat.
Yes and no. I don't know what the answer is, and I think we would have to look at statistics to sort of really get to the bottom of it. From my point of view, I don't think there is a compensation culture. I think it's blown out of proportion. There's a bit of, media reporting which suggests that everybody's claiming for everything, and it isn't the case. Certainly since I've been doing this work, which is quite a long time, I've seen a real drop in the amount of people claiming for things like highway trip accidents. There used to be loads of them, and it's simply not happening now. I mean, there might be reasons for that. The highways might have improved, so the councils might be taking better care of our pavements, or it might be that people are just not pursuing these things. And the government have put in lots of initiatives recently to prevent lots of claims for sort of trivial injuries and trivial accidents, as they like to call them. So I don't think we're like America. We don't get the sort of millions and millions of pounds of compensation for minor things like they seem to do there. So, no, I disagree with that.
Deborah, I appreciate your insight and your knowledge. Thank you. Deborah Saini, Head of Personal Injury at Picton Solicitors in Luton. 03459 455 555. You can call them about any of the things that we're talking about. I guess the main thing, and this is what Justin's out and about on, and we'll speak to him before the end of the show. Let's assume that the allegations about David Cameron having an inverted commas normal university life, which means that he tried drugs, are true. And we're talking about cannabis. Put the cocaine stuff to one side. Please, put it to one side. I'm trying to find it hard to talk to you. If it's true that he smoked some weed when he was at college, do you think any more, any less, or the same? And the vibe I'm kind of getting from this story is, yesterday we're all, David Cameron smoked marijuana! And now we're like, yeah, and... Now, that either means we've all indulged in marijuana since then and we don't care, or actually as a nation, we don't really care about weed anymore.
I think the uproar might be because he's like the ultimate school swat, isn't he? So if you find out that school swat's been on it, it's kind of hilarious.
Well, yeah, it's funny. If it's true, it's funny, and that's it.
Mark in Bedford sent us a text. He says, do I feel less of Cameron as weed? Yes, I do. Weed is such a boring drug. Oh. Dean says, I don't care what Cameron's done in the past, just as long as he's honest about it in the future. And Helen says, David Cameron, I assume that most students since the 1960s have tried cannabis or other drugs or drunk to excess, have wild parties. It's part of student life, isn't it? Doesn't change what I think of him.
03459 455 555.
Travel news for beds, cards and bugs.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
A421 Bedford Southern Bypass in Bedford's been closed westbound between the A603 at Cardington Road and the A6 at Elstow because of an accident that happened around 6:15 this morning. It's causing long delays in the surrounding area through the diversion routes, so the A603 Bedford Road is very busy westbound between Park Road and the Southern Bypass. Also, the A6 is slow in both directions between Rope Walk and London Road. On the A507 in Arlesey, that's been partially blocked in both directions between Startfold Road and Hitchin Road because of an accident. And in Henlow, it's also busy because of that accident on the A507 between Arsley Road and Newtown. On the motorways, the M1 slow southbound past Junction 9 for Redbourne, and the M25 anti-clockwise is busy between Junction 21 for the M1 and 15 for the M4. Samantha Bruff, BBC Three Counties Radio.
Sammy, thank you. Oh, Russ, you're so cynical on Twitter. Whilst we're talking about pigs, infant children are losing free school meals, and Operation Midland is now a murder investigation. Always see who's not getting attention when big stories break. Number 10 PR. It's time to press the piggy button, guys.
Across beds, hearts and bugs.
This is BBC Three Counties Radio.
It's 8:30. I'm Simon Oxley. A cyclist has suffered serious injuries in an incident which has closed the A421 Bedford Southern bypass this morning. Bedfordshire police say they were called shortly after 6 o'clock. It's believed the cyclist was in collision with a vehicle. The Labour MP for Luton South says he's turned down a shadow minister's job under new leader Jeremy Corbyn. Gavin Shuker told this programme he doesn't want to have to resign in the coming months if he disagrees with Mr Corbyn's policies. And elderly residents in Bedford say they no longer feel safe in their block of flats, which was originally set up solely for retired people. Chandos Court, which is managed by Bedford Pilgrims Housing Association, will now be used to provide social housing for people of all ages, including families.
Three Counties Sports.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
Chelsea must decide whether to appeal against Diego Costa's violent conduct charge after the FA began disciplinary proceedings following Saturday's controversial win over Arsenal. Chelsea have until 6 o'clock this evening to respond. Former Chelsea player Pat Nevin says the striker is proving difficult to manage.
There was another moment later on in the game, again showed in Match of the Day, where there was a little flick out of his leg. And moments later then Jose Mourinho did get him off the field, but you know, he will play on that line. You need to gauge when he's going over it, when he's ready to go over it, and it's difficult.
Former Stevenage manager Graham Westley says he's thrilled to be back in football after being named as the new manager at League One side Peterborough. Westley left Stevenage in May after his third spell in charge. Tonight the third round of the League Cup gets underway with matches including Sunderland against Manchester City and Aston Villa at home to Birmingham. In the National League tonight, Boreham Wood are away to Torquay, and England's women won 8-0 in Estonia in their opening qualifying match for Euro 2017. The head of World Tennis says that if fully fit, they would expect Andy Murray to compete at the end-of-season World Tour finals in London. Murray told the BBC he may consider withdrawing from the event to prepare for the Davis Cup final. More from Russell Fuller.
What this does highlight again is the ridiculous nature of the tennis calendar. Players should not have to choose between the World Tour finals and the Davis Cup, but it is regularly staged, the Davis Cup rounds, after the Grand Slams or after the World Tour finals. What makes this so different is that for once a player is suggesting they'll put the team event before the tour. I suspect nothing will change as a result of it, but it might just bring that debate back into the public domain.
BBC Three Counties News and Sport. The next full bulletin is at 9.
This is Iain Lee.
On BBC Three Counties Radio.
Morning, Marlene.
Hello, Iain.
You all right, my love?
Yes, I am. No, I'm not actually. I'm fuming.
What's going on? What's happened?
About the guide dog.
Oh.
Do you know how much a guide dog costs
No.
from the time it is born till when it retires?
I don't know. Go on.
One dog, £58,000.
Flip it.
At least 4 times more than his blasted car.
Yes. Well, I mean, I would suggest. Well, he's a cab driver, so probably even significantly less. A mini cab driver, so probably even less.
I would, and if a dog loses its confidence, then its guide dog days are over.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, exactly. Yeah. You've wasted all the time and indeed the money, and it can't work no more.
I've just started collecting for guide dogs for the blind. I'm one of these awful people in the supermarket. We don't rattle our boxes.
You're not allowed to rattle the boxes anymore, are you?
I know we're not.
This is true. They changed the law about 7 or 8 years ago, I think.
Yeah,
so if you got the tins or the buckets, you're not allowed to shake them anymore. What stupid law?
We've got a guide dog there, and that always brings the people in. We always have a guide dog with the owner and then a sighted person, and I was just absolutely fuming.
Fair play, though. If he's got a dent in the boot of his car, Marlene, he needs to get that sorted.
Yeah. But if that guide dog's guiding days are finished, the poor owner and the poor dog,
I've got a dog now, Marlene, and I'm really struggling with it.
Oh, no, you mustn't. Oh,
no.
What sort of dog have you got, Iain?
Little Westie.
Oh.
Little Westie! You got an old woman's dog.
But you said you didn't like dogs.
I know, I don't.
I am a dog nut.
Well, you're the dog's nuts.
No, I said I am an absolute dog. I absolutely adore dogs.
Here's the thing. How do I stop her pooing in my house? How do I stop her eating her own poo? How do I stop her smelling? And when I take her out for a walk, she just sits there. She just sits there. I'm going, come on, walk. And she just sits there.
How old is she?
She's 13 weeks.
Will you have to keep taking her into the garden? And
She's got another
encouraging-
2 weeks to buck up her idea, otherwise it's back.
Oh, no, I've
I've got the receipt. I've got the receipt, Marlene.
Ian, I'll adopt her.
Okay,
If you
that'll be
donate-
£750. That's what she cost.
What have you called her?
That's top secret information, classified. Classified.
Oh, sorry.
Let's-
I didn't,
No.
I'll have her if you don't want her. Because I love dogs.
Have you got the money?
No.
Well,
You donate it, because I have got a wonky eye, Ian.
no, I'm not. All right, from now on, then, the dog is going to be referred to as Wonky Marlene. How about that? Is that okay?
Oh, bless you, Ian.
It's Wonky Marlene. Wonky Marlene, ta-ta.
Bye, love.
Bye-bye. There we go. That's what, from now on, when we refer to the dog, it's going to be Wonky Marlene.
What did you think the dog was going to do when they poo and they smell? That's part
Well,
of
it
their job.
stinks. Stinks. It's vile. The breathy smell and the body smell.
They don't call it dog breath for nothing.
Ay, 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 ay.
You can brush their teeth, you know.
Oh, I know you can.
And I also know someone who used to give their dog, what was it, parsley or something? Apparently it sweetens it up. I mean, you know, within a limited range, it's always going to stink.
You all right, Kels?
Yes, player, are you?
Wow, I've got attitude there, mate. And I'd
Oh,
like
did you?
Got attitude. What's
Yeah.
that
Oh,
for?
sorry.
Let's discuss it. Let's workshop it. What's going on?
Okay, let's do it. I had no idea that I had attitude, but maybe
There
I
it is
have.
again.
there it is.
There it is.
Oh, maybe I've got some.
There
it is.
How do I get rid of it?
You need to release it.
How
You
do
need
I
to-
do that?
You hand it over.
To who?
Not anyone working on this show, please.
I haven't got any more room for attitude. I'm,
No.
I'm full.
Okay.
You need a platitude for the attitude, and then show some gratitude.
Okay.
Okay? Think you can do that?
All right,
Let's speak to Clayton, see if Clayton can get rid of the attitude. Morning, Clayton!
Morning, Ian. How you doing?
Oh, well, I'm upset by Kelly's attitude.
Well, I have something that might put a smile on your face.
Oh.
I have a thank you to make to one of my neighbours if they're listening, and I hope they are.
Oh, go on.
I live on High Street North. I live in shared housing with 3 single lads.
Oh, fun.
And our bathroom light bulb went during the summer, and the only light bulb we had to spare was a red light bulb, believe it or not.
Well, hello, lads. Party time.
Exactly what my friends say.
Yeah, I bet.
And as the weather's gotten colder, obviously, as people are having baths and showers, steam comes out the window.
Steamy windows coming from the body heat.
Yeah, well, exactly.
Yeah.
But over the road, not last weekend, the weekend before, from the newest, the Delco Way area, Vauxhall Way estates,
Okay.
because they're over the road, someone saw a red light and what they thought was smoke coming out of our house. So they
Oy.
phoned the fire department,
Oh.
thinking there was a fire. So
Time
I wanted
waster.
to say, well, a little bit, but obviously they're worried that the house is on fire, so they're doing a good deed.
Oh,
really.
they are okay. They had their eye open, and they well,
and
fair
they
play
thought
to
they
them.
saw a they thought a fire was going on and all this, that, and the other, and I wanted to pass on my thank yous, and if that person is listening, knock on my door, there's a cup of tea waiting for you.
But you'll have to drink it under a red light in a steamy bathroom. Why have you only got a red light bulb, you deviants?
I have absolutely no idea. One of the lads moved in. He's got one in his bedroom, and he put one in the bathroom.
Oh, and that weird. That is
Yeah,
weird.
just a little bit. I think he reckons he's one of those lads.
Oh no, I don't
Jewellery,
think.
the top hats with the big feathers coming out of it. I reckon he thinks he's one of those.
Oh blimey! I don't know if ladies or indeed gentlemen find the red light anything other than creepy.
It's weird. It's weird having a late night shower and you're trying to wash yourself and everything's got a red tint to it. You
Yeah.
can't know everything's green.
You done it. Everything's green.
Yeah, for some reason, if you walk out of the bedroom into the normal white light, all the red's taken out of everything.
Oh right! Oh, how? Oh, good. Now it sounds like fun. Now I'm going to do that and
Yeah, it's
confuse my
interesting.
eyes.
It is a little bit of it plays on your mind a little.
It's
bit.
like doing drugs without the illegality or the danger.
Yeah, you look at a picture of Spider-Man going, I know the suit's red, why does it look like that?
Oh, Clayton, you've given me something to. Thank you for that. Well done, that neighbour. You ever had to call the fire brigade, like properly?
No.
Oh, you feel powerful. Seriously, feel powerful.
Ambo, police, yes, not the fire.
I've called. Right, let's go through the emergency services. Called the Ambo several times. Oh, Bill? Yeah, sure, why not?
Yeah.
Fire, yeah.
Yeah.
Fire, yeah.
Have you?
Yeah.
What for?
There was a car in fire in front of my house.
Well, that'll do it, yeah.
And I hesitated.
You always hesitate when you're about to dial 999, and
felt-
so you should.
I felt so powerful, though, when I phoned up and I said, there's a car on fire. I did a different voice. I didn't want to know it was me. I didn't.
That's not weird.
There's a car on fire in front of my house. I didn't do it like that. And then I was...
How did you do it?
There's a car fire in front of my house. I don't know if I'm wasting your time or not. Sorry, I don't know if this is the right thing to do. Oh, sorry, fire brigade. There's a car on fire in front of my house. I don't know if they're wasting your time or not. I just thought I should give you a call. I don't know why. Am I supposed to call this emergency? I don't know if it's an emergency.
Yes, that is my phone number. Fire.
And then they went, yeah, we know about it. We're on our way. Well,
Same thing happened to me.
where's my thanks?
Well, it's always helpful.
Where's my thanks?
Taken as read, isn't it?
Well, like his light. Yeah. Paul's in Bletchley. Morning, Paul.
Oh, morning, Ian. How you going?
Really, I've got an upset stomach.
Oh, dear.
Oh, you did ask, didn't you, Paul?
You did ask. And my battery's died on my computer, so I can't play Close to the Edge by Yes, which, by the way, is 18 minutes 41 of pure majesty. Prog rock gets a bad name, but that's a cracking first side of an album.
Oh, lovely.
Yeah, lovely.
Yeah, an old one.
It's an oldie but a goodie.
Yeah,
what you got, Paul?
Well, I mean, talking about David Cameron, I mean, you don't learn anything about life by living in a gilded cage, and you know, we all go through life. You know, I mean, i.e., you've got to learn to swim, you've got to get in the water. And
all right, well, hang on a minute. Okay, so let's. Okay,
Yeah.
so to learn to swim, you've got to get into the water. So what is?
Read a book. You can read a book, but to actually learn to swim, you've got to, you know what I mean? He's indulging in life. You know,
can't judge a book by looking at the cover. You can't judge a daughter by looking at the mother. You can't judge a leaf by looking at the tree. You can't. I can't remember the rest of the words. Hang on a minute.
Yeah.
You can't judge a book by looking at the cover. You can't judge a daughter by looking at the mother. You can't judge an apple by looking at the tree. Something me. Can't remember the words. I look like a farmer, but I'm a lover.
That don't rhyme.
No, I forgot, and I've got my computer. I can't access.
All right, let me have a look. How did it go again?
You can't judge an apple.
Wait. That'll be on the right page. Right, go.
Well, hang on a minute. What? I'm confused. What's?
You can't judge a what?
You can't judge. The song's called "You Can't Judge a Book." By looking at the cover, oh, you misjudge me. You misjudge me, baby. I look like a farmer, but I'm a lover. Can't judge a book by looking at the cover.
You can't judge a book by looking at the cover. You can't judge a what?
Oh,
daughter.
Just for crying out loud. I'm confused. What's reading books got to do with smoking a fat one?
Hello?
Hello, Paul?
Yeah, good, yeah. I mean, basically, he's tried cannabis, probably in the days, I've not tried it, but when resident...
Oh, hang on a minute. Well, how could... You've not tried cannabis?
No, I did.
So you're living in a gilded cage. You can't...
Well, I smoked for about 10 years, and that was bad enough trying to give that up.
So you've not learnt to read a book or swim? You've not lived life according to your rules.
No, but I mean, you understand what I'm saying? That
no, I don't.
You could put a kid into a gilded cage and he wouldn't learn anything, would he?
Don't put a kid into a gilded cage. That's abuse.
I mean, I'm in my 60s. I still make mistakes every day, but hopefully I learn by them and then I don't do it again, you know. I mean, he's probably a little bit of an authority on it now, and I understand the Conservative Party, is it in the next few weeks, they're going to have a discussion about cannabis, because I think the modern stuff, by all accounts, the skunk, it makes people paranoid.
But by your very argument,
yes,
you can't talk about it because you've not tried it.
I'm talking in general terms. I'm talking that, you know, I mean, it's a bit like a baby. He to learn to walk, he gets up, he falls down. Eventually, one day, he doesn't fall down anymore.
Well, if you keep smoking enough of that stuff, you'll fall down. I don't understand any of the metaphors. What I do understand, though, is music. You can't judge an apple by looking at the tree. You can't judge honey by looking at the bee. You can't judge a sister by looking at the brother. You can't... The moment's kind of passed.
Sounds like a nice song, though.
It's a great track.
Very wise.
Great track.
Travel news for beds, cards and bugs.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
There are long delays in and around Bedford because the Bedford Southern Bypass has been closed westbound between Cardington Road and the A6 at Elstow after an accident earlier on this morning. So the A6 is also busy in both directions between Rope Walk and London Road, and Bedford Road itself is queuing between the Bedford Southern Bypass and Park Road. On the A507 in Ardsley, that's been partially blocked by an accident in both directions between Stotfold Road and Hitchin Road. And on the A40 Western Avenue, that's looking very slow from the Denham roundabout approaching the M25. And the A404 southbound in Marlow Bottoms also looking busy around the M40 junction 4 High Wycombe Handy Cross roundabout. Samantha Bruff, BBC Three Counties Radio.
Oh, I wish I could sing. I really do. I mean, that's the one thing in life. If you can sing, you're never lonely. Karen Carpenter being the exception, of course. 8:45, it is Tuesday, the 22nd of September. I'm Iain Lee. These are your headlines on BBC Three Counties Radio. A cyclist has suffered serious injuries in an incident which has closed the A421 Bedford Southern bypass this morning. The Labour MP for Luton South says he's turned down a shadow minister's job under new leader Jeremy Corbyn. And elderly residents in Bedford say they no longer feel safe in their block of flats, which was originally set up solely for retired people. 03459 455 555. We'll have Dealey in a bit. Let's get the weather with Kate first.
Beds, Herts and Bucks weather.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
Heavy showers across all three counties this morning. Don't be surprised if you hear a rumble of thunder mixed in there as well. They'll become a little less frequent later on today, where we may get a glimmer of sunshine between them, but it's going to feel quite cool. The maximum temperature just struggling up to 16 Celsius. We've got a northwesterly breeze. Now brightening up, as I said, this afternoon and this evening. Then overnight, any cloud or rain remaining will disappear and we should get some lengthy clear spells. That runs the risk of maybe some cooler temperatures, 9 Celsius being the minimum, and also mist and fog patches as the wind falls light as well. So a chilly start tomorrow, a bright sunny morning, but then the cloud moves in from the west later tomorrow afternoon. Temperatures up to 16 Celsius, and that's your forecast.
Thank you, Kate.
On BBC One.
Wherever you go, you can hear it. You can feel it. Strictly Season is a pass.
Hi, it's Peter Andre here, and
No, I don't think so. I'm not encouraging that sort of behaviour. I refuse to, Chris.
Good.
Yeah, you're especially shouty today.
I thought I might as well be, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's still going on, listen.
Strictly Come Dancing.
Yeah, I can stick it.
Because they need advertising, don't they? No one watches
really.
it.
And of course, I look forward to seeing the advert for this show during the middle of Strictly Come Dancing. I don't think so. We're all on BBC. What would you like to say, Shouty Chris?
Thank you for having Mr. Shooker on, so we know what we're paying for.
Who?
Mr. Shooker.
Gavin Shooker, yes, the MP for Luton South, yes.
Yeah, because it seems to me that he did have a job, because I've always wondered what he did with his time. And now he's jacked that job, so he's getting 74 grand a year for what?
Well, in fairness to Gavin Shooker, unlike some of our local MPs, he's always very, very approachable. He's come on this show and other shows on this station many times to talk about things that actually sometimes portray him and his party in an uncomfortable light. And also, I kind of get the impression from people I have spoken to that he is a very active MP and he kind of listens to people and responds to people. Again, no names, no pack drill, but unlike a lot of other people, other MPs in our patch.
Well, I've had personal experience with Mr. Shooker, and I have to say I find him very ineffectual. He'll just nod at you, agree with you, ask for paperwork, you'll send him the paperwork, and he'll send you a letter back saying, yes, I photocopied the most recent things and I'm keeping them on file. Well, you go to him to try and get him to act upon things.
Well, what did you want him to do? Maybe he couldn't help.
Yeah, he could have. I can't actually go into it because I'm going to take legal action.
Okay, all right. Well, in that case, don't go into it. I'm sorry. Well, what am I apologising for? I'm not sorry. For him to apologise.
But I just thought that him being an MP, like the other day, you were saying, bombard your MPs and tell them you want people to take rooms and things like that.
No, hang on a minute.
Hang on, you never said that, did you?
Hang on a minute, Chris. Back up. I never said bombard. Yeah, I never said bombard your MPs and tell them you want people to take people in your rooms or anything. I didn't say. Anyway.
No, but you did ask us to get our MPs to fight for things, right?
Yes.
He's very active around our way when it comes to campaigning, because I saw him when he was on the campaign trail for votes.
Yeah.
But I've not seen him up our way, apart from that, because I live in Stopsley.
Invite him. Invite him up your way. Say, oi, Gavin, come and have a look at this.
Iain, like the BBC, it's very difficult for me to have anyone come and talk to me anymore.
Hang on a minute, we talk to you every day virtually, Chris.
You talk to me, but JB doesn't love me anymore.
Well, I listen. Well, listen. That's if you've got beef with him, that's between you two. But I don't love you.
Other thing,
I don't love you. I tolerate you. You're good filler. All filler, no killer. That's our motto about you, Chris.
The other thing is, right,
Yes.
I don't think he's done Jeremy Corbyn any favours because
Who,
if he's
JVS?
not willing... No, Gavin Shuker.
Okay, right, yeah.
Right, because if he's going to stand down from his post...
I'm drawing a brick. A brick.
I'm going to kick you in a minute.
No, I'm drawing a brick. I'm just doodling, and I realise, it's a brick.
I know why.
Why?
Right. He wants to throw it at me.
No, he's trying to keep himself solid.
No, don't say that. That's cruel. I'm drawing the call to a conclusion. I'm sorry about that. Let's have. Yeah, bye. Thanks very much. Concluded. You just conclude a conversation by just saying concluded. I get the impression, and listen, he's not my MP, so I don't know firsthand. And yeah, whether he comes on the radio or not is. It's not immaterial. Actually, it's quite important, but it's like a tiny percentage of what the job entails. But from speaking to people, I get the impression that that Shuker is pretty hands-on MP.
And you know what? She mentioned there that he was actively campaigning. He was visible campaigning. I haven't seen my MP for years.
We have, my MP, actually, flipping out, I've never met the fella. And we have had MPs on this show that have come on reluctantly to talk about really important issues and then complained that we asked them questions that were off script, And again, the media thing is a tiny, tiny thing. But...
if they behave that way with us, how do they behave with the average Joe?
I do think I do disagree with Shuker from standing down. I didn't buy his thing. I thought that the whole point of Corbyn was he was saying I want there to be discussion from the grassroots up. And if you're not sat at the table, then when things don't go your way, it's harder for you to complain. You need to be sat there going, actually, 79 other people, I disagree with you. And this is why. Also,
can you imagine the furore should Corbyn force anyone to vote a certain way with his history?
It won't happen. I don't think it will happen. And I do just think, I'm not so necessarily saying this about Gavin, but with the Chuka Amoon, that was the third question I was going to ask him.
What was it?
Would he ever consider joining the Lib Dems? That was the third question. Jumping ship and joining the Lib Dems. That was the third question I forgot to ask him. I do think that with people like Chuka Amuna and other people, that they are they're either sharpening their knives or they're sitting back waiting for somebody else to sharpen their knives. And then when Corbyn, I don't think Corbyn will be there in 6 months because there's not enough support from within his own MPs for him to have a chance. Anyway.
All right, Paxman.
Paxo, the Rooster Booster. Justin.
Boss, do you remember that time Gavin came into our studios and he wore a balaclava?
And he allowed us to take a photograph of it and tweet it. Yes, I do remember that. Not that, sometimes people need PR people to hold that. I do remember that. And he's not my MP, so I don't know. But from what I've heard, he's one of the harder working ones.
Yes, absolutely.
Because there are some slackers out there. You've taken this to the streets. David Cameron, it's alleged, smoked weed when he was at university. It's been described as the normal university experience. Yes, it was a big story. And now the furore has died down. Everyone's not quite so sombre. It's not quite so macabre. And I don't think anyone cares, Just.
Well, you put the question out earlier on. If this is true, OK, do you think more of him? Do you think less of him? Or do you think the same? Yep. Now, some of your phone calls today have been really honest. We needed honesty on the streets with this one as well.
We did, mate.
I've been out there asking that question. Some interesting results. Here's what happened. Ross, how old are you?
I'm 18.
18 years old. Okay. David Cameron, if he was having the odd doobie, let's say, back in the day, all right? There's a serious question. Do you think more of him, less of him, or the same?
I still think he's if I'm honest.
I think you've said all you need to say.
Yep, pretty much.
All right, thanks, mate.
Cool.
More of him, actually, because he was a normal youngster.
You don't think it's outrageous that our Prime Minister back in the day was taking drugs, hypothetically?
No, he was a youngster, he was a teenager, he was out with his mates. No.
Sounds to me, how can I put this? It sounds to me, if this is true, that you could probably relate to him more.
Yeah. Yeah, because I've done it.
The same.
Can you tell me why?
I think it's part of growing up, don't you?
Well, it's not for me to comment.
I think it is.
So were you doing that?
No.
You're lying, I think. But you think his ability to be our Prime Minister based on something which happened years and years ago has got no relevance on today?
Not if it was just taking spliffs, no. As he's growing up as a youngster, no.
If it was more, you think that would have an effect?
Like what?
Cocaine?
Oh, yeah, that might be a different thing.
Yeah.
Perhaps.
So if it was the odd spliff, you don't see a problem with that?
No, not at all.
I don't think it'd bother me, really.
Why doesn't it bother you? Is it because you... And I'm going to put it to you, you're laughing, were you doing the same when you were younger?
Probably. I'm not going to admit outright, but probably, yeah.
Well, what's a mixed bunch. I'm slightly distracted, Justin, because there's a light flashing in front of me that's never flashed
light.
before. Yeah, it's like a bright thing. Let's get the impression, Justin, the thoughts of a wise old soul who's not got many days left to haunt this earth. Matt. Was that a little laugh, Matt?
Yes.
You're having a little laugh there. That's the first time. Write this down in the diary, guys. Today is the day that Matt in Luton had a spontaneous, non-sarcastic laugh. People will be celebrating this day. It will forever be known as Matt's Laugh Day. Do you remember where you were when Matt had a laugh? Yes, I do. It was the 22nd of September. It was just before 9 o'clock in the morning. And I couldn't believe it. The clouds parted. The sun shone. It was like the second coming.
Dear, oh dear.
Didn't last long. Only lasted a few seconds, and then it went again. And Matt was his usual miserable self.
You just listen, mate.
I'm listening, Matt.
Ian's fallen in love with Jeremy Corbyn.
The what, sorry?
This is the day that Iain Lee...
Hello, that's my name. Pleased to meet you. You had to question it.
Fell in love with Jeremy Corbyn. That's all you seem to talk about now.
Sorry?
He is an absolute crap prat.
We've hardly crap prat. We've hardly.
You're having a go at David at Cameron?
No, I've not had a go at Cameron at all.
You are.
Give me an example of where I've had a go at David Cameron today.
So he smoked cannabis. So what? So what? Let him smoke it 30 years ago. What's the matter? What did you do 30 years ago, Ian? I'm fed up with you criticising people and slagging people off. Especially me. And David.
Travel news for beds, cards and bugs.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
In Bedford, the Bedford Southern Bypass is still closed westbound between Cardington Road and the A6 Elstow because of an accident, and it's causing the surrounding routes to be busy, so Bedford Road is slow between Park Road and the Southern Bypass Road, and the A6 is busy in both directions between Rope Walk and London Road. On the A5 southbound in Old Stratford, there's a lane blocked by an accident that's happened at the Toaster Road, so that's causing queues from Yardley Road and Wickham Park Road. And on the A507 in Alsley, that's been partially blocked by an accident between Stutfold Road and Hitchin Road. It's affecting both directions and causing it to be busy in Henlow as well on Hitchin Road in both directions between the A507 and Newtown. Samantha Breath, BBC Three Counties Radio.
Thank you very much indeed. What a I'm sorry if you've got children and that last minute of audio may have terrified you. How frightening and bizarre. Back tomorrow at 6. Until then, from me, Catherine, Kelly, and indeed the J-Dog. Ta-ta.
Local and vocal across beds, hearts and bucks.
This is BBC Three Counties Radio.
Thank you, Ian. Good morning. Welcome to the JVS show. I'm Jonathan Vernon-Smith. It's Tuesday. It's raining again. It's 9 o'clock, and on today's Big Phone-In, do you think it's a good thing women are shouting about their abortions on the internet? Nearly 75,000 people have gone online to talk openly about abortion this morning, sharing the slogan, "Shout your abortion." The campaign began as pro-choice groups encouraged women to share their stories to remove some of the stigma from abortion. These stories have created a backlash as anti-abortion campaigners have used the same slogan, "Shout Your Abortion," to remind people that some women regret choosing to terminate their pregnancy. Well, it certainly created a national debate, and this morning I want to hear your reaction to it. Do you think it's a good thing women are shouting about their abortions on the internet? Here's my telephone number for your call. It's 03459 455 555.
This is the JVS Show
on BBC Three Counties Radio.
I'll take your call in just a second, but first let's get the latest BBC News. It's 9 o'clock. Here's Simon Oxley.
The headlines: cyclist seriously injured on Bedford bypass, Luton MP turns down role under new Labour leader, and residents' concern over Bedford flats.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
A cyclist has suffered serious injuries in an incident which has closed the A421 Bedford Southern bypass this morning. More details from Gail Sanderson.
Bedfordshire police say they were called shortly after 6 o'clock. It's believed the cyclist was in collision with a vehicle. Police are urging motorists to avoid the area. The road's closed westbound from the junction for the A600 to the junction for the A6, and diversions are in place. The Highways Agency say the road isn't expected to reopen until lunchtime.
The Labour MP for Luton South says he's turned down a shadow minister's job under new leader Jeremy Corbyn. Gavin Shuker told BBC Three Counties he doesn't want to have to resign in the coming months if he disagrees with Mr Corbyn's policies.
And I can see some issues coming up where it's going to be quite tricky for me to support the same line as Jeremy. He offered me a choice of some jobs in the new administration, which I'd normally be really happy to do. But what I don't want to do is take on a job and in 3 months' time have to walk away, causing a big hoo-ha.
The trust which runs Addenbrooke's Hospital in Cambridge has been put into special measures after inspectors rated it inadequate. The hospital also takes patients from Bedfordshire and Hertfordshire. The trust's chairwoman, Jane Ramsey, says they've already taken action to address the concerns.
We haven't waited since April, since the inspection, to be getting grip of the issues. And I'd also like to reassure patients on the outcomes. At Addenbrooke's, we have some of the best in England and indeed in Europe on survival rates for cancer, and we also have really low hospital-acquired infection rates and low mortality rates.
The Home Secretary, Theresa May, will meet other EU ministers in Brussels this afternoon to try to agree on how to deal with the migrants arriving in Europe. So far, talks have failed to determine how many refugees each country should accept. Elderly residents in Bedford say they no longer feel safe in their block of flats, which was originally set up solely for retired people. Chandos Court, which is managed by Bedford Pilgrim